Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Claru.
And this is the Nerdy,
The Wordy.
the book club. Welcome back. We are talking about Iron Flame, doing a full book review because we didn't split this up in parts, and thank God we didn't.
Thank God we didn't, or I wouldn't have finished it. Because I
Yeah.
almost didn't anyways.
Yeah, if you watched our Fourth Wing review, you probably know my opinion on that book was that pre-threshing, it's not a very good book, and post-threshing, it gets a little bit interesting, and there's good stuff in it.
Yeah.
Even though I think overall the book is, fine. Iron Flame has a worse first half than Fourth Wing, but I think a better second half than Fourth Wing. And so it's really interesting because I think this book is also equally fine, even though I think the end of this book is significantly stronger than any other piece of Rebecca Yarros's writing that we've read so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, like, fun and action-packed.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I actually think one of the things I found really fascinating was the Griffin Rider. We're going to get to all of it today. But before we do that, we do have one little announcement that we should throw to here that I'm not prepped for because I don't have a way to link you guys. But there is only a few days left to vote for us for the Crit Awards for 2025. Our charity event from 2024, Heroes Without Borders, through our TTRPG company, the Roleplay Relay, has been nominated for Best Charity Event. And we raised over $17,000 for Doctors Without Borders.
Sure did.
We are going to do that again in the fall. Heroes Without Borders 2 is coming.
Hell yeah.
And if you could go over to the Crit Awards voting page and vote for us, it would mean the absolute world to us. Clarice is going to tell you more about that while I get the link really quick.
Oh, yeah, great. You kind of said it all. You're going to
tell them more about that.
You could have thrown to me sooner.
Tell them about the character you're going to play this year in the fall.
What? I have not thought further ahead than, like, Saturday. You can't...
Instead of Clarice makes up the news today, it's Clarice makes up a character.
Oh, my God. Well, okay. I'm going to be a retired war general who lives by himself in the woods and is actually, like, just, like, fully let himself go and is not actually good at combat, so I'm gonna die real quick.
Oh wait, that didn't work.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited.
You're a retired war general.
Yeah, who just
this link doesn't work.
Oh, good, that's fine.
Unless the voting's over. I don't know. Whatever. Go to the Crit Awards website and figure it out yourself. You're smart book club people.
We're going to raise more money this year, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you, Krazen Pazkalev, for joining the Nerds Radiant.
Hell yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for coming in here. Welcome to the new channel.
Yeah.
To Kano, just finished the book like 9 hours ago.
Same.
Yeah. Clarice as well.
Yeah.
I finished 2 nights ago because I got to a point where I was like, well, I'm not going to bed until I know how this ends now.
Sure.
To Snow Wolfa, good morning. The second book took me a while to finish. The third I blew through in a couple of days.
That's so interesting because I feel like everyone I've talked to says that the third one is the worst.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, very nervous because I'll be honest, guys. I didn't really like this book. In fact, in a rare turn of events, I think that Nerdy is going to be more positive today than I am.
I don't know about that. I think that my critiques are more specific than yours are. I think that I can voice very specifically what it is about this book that I like and don't like. And I think that and this is not me saying like I'm smarter than you or something. I think that you just had a much more sort of emotionally negative experience of the book as a whole.
Yeah.
Whereas I kind of have broken this book down into parts in my brain, and there's parts that I think are very good and very interesting. And there's parts that I think are like legitimately like childlike in the way that they're written. And that's a mean criticism, you know what I mean? But I do think that I can take the good with the bad on this one, and I will read the third one. But at the same time, having said that, I also think that I don't expect it to be good. Like, I think that this book really showed the problems with Rebecca Yarros's world building laid bare. Whereas in Fourth Wing, it's easy, I think, reading...
You are peeking a little bit. Yeah.
I think that it is easy to read Fourth Wing with the mystery element of it,
Yeah.
and not know what's going on,
Yeah.
and be able to assume that the characters in charge, Melgren and their mom,
Know what they're doing.
know what they're doing, right? That there is some evil master plan. And so when this book kind of reveals that they're actually just all idiots and they don't have a plan,
Yeah.
and they were literally just hoping for the best, the Fourth Wing, I think on a reread, Fourth Wing will be dumber. Like, I think that Fourth Wing will be more difficult to accept the failings of the evil empire.
Yeah.
Because I can't just invent in my head that they're smart.
Yeah.
Because I know they're not. Like, I know that Melgren is actually just a moron and literally doesn't have a plan. Like, literally has no strategy.
Yeah.
He just has a power that makes people think, like, oh, his strategies work because he only goes into fights he knows he's going to win.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is the as you dismantle the mystery of Fourth Wing, as you kind of get out of the Violet not knowing what's going on portion of the series,
Yeah.
the world building rests on the laurels of the answer to the mystery has to actually be very well thought out, and it just clearly isn't.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a little extra disappointing because some of the ideas behind these things are very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I am intrigued. There is something here that, like, you know, has kept me going and made me interested in picking up the second book, right? Like, it's not all bad. I think that the creativity is there, the ideas are there, the execution is just not not well plotted.
Well, and the book just feels deeply unedited. It feels very much like a first draft.
Yeah.
In that it is wildly repetitive. Like, especially in, unfortunately, the worst part of the book, which is Xaden and Violet's relationship.
Oh my god.
Like, their relationship has...
I literally wanted to just fucking punch them both. Yeah.
Well, but, and I just think that an editor should have been like, hey, like, this argument isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
This argument is the same every time they talk.
And Violet is like, we've been having the same fight for 5 months. And I'm like,
we know.
5 months? What the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And so there's a level of irrationality
Yeah.
in the... And look, I understand that people are going to be like, well, they're like 20. But like, Xaden's 24?
No, he's only 1 year older than her. So 21.
No, he's 2 years older than her.
No, because he's only...
Yeah, because she's a first year, older. He's a third year.
So, sorry, yeah, he's 22 and she's...
Your math skills lately have not been great.
So, no, you're right. This book, she's 21 and he would be 23.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like at 21, like I had a full-time, I was a full-time server and I was in college. Like I was like an independent adult doing shit.
Yeah.
And so like the excuse of like, well, she's 21. What do you expect? I'm like, I don't know, man.
No, I'm with Snowwolf.
She's not 15.
Yeah, I'm with Snowwolf. I hated her. Like, genuinely, I was like, I cannot fucking stand the main character of this book. Mm-hmm. Like, if I were her friend, and to the book's credit, her friends do try and tell her without having the full context that, like, she's probably being dumb because she is.
Yeah.
And it just got, it was just over and over and over again, and I got so fucking sick of it.
But the tough thing about the Violet Xaden relationship is that we spend so much time on it. It doesn't change or go anywhere in the whole book. Like there's never actually any movement on it, and so it is just this frustrating thing that occurs sort of in the background,
and then they fuck
of more interesting things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the rest of the book is just more interesting, but everything else is given less time because Violet is less interested in the life or death stakes than she is in Xaden's abs.
Literally.
And so, but Xaden isn't, right? And so, honestly, I think this book would be better from his point of view.
Maybe.
Because he seems to care about other things. He is off, like, running wing quadrants and, like, on the front line, going to these fights, getting into danger, and has, like, authority and agency in those matters. And so cutting back to Violet just kind of doing nothing.
Well, okay.
He's deeply frustrating.
I do think that that is a bit unfair because she is the one researching the wards. Like, she's the one who's like, okay, I think that our best chance...
she is the one who's struggling to understand that 6 + 1 is 7. Like,
don't even fucking get me started.
But this is the thing, right? Like, as soon as they were like the 6 and the 1, anyone above the age of like 5 is like, oh, that adds up to 7. And the book takes like 300 pages to get from, well, we need 6 people and the 1. What's the and the 1? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, Violet's answer to that is,
math.
we don't, but it's like U levels of math.
Look, I am not a math gay.
Before anyone thinks I'm being mean, I am being mean.
No, we
but
talked about this.
Clara's yesterday, we were out, and she was like, I was like, oh yeah, we have to be there in like 3.5 hours, and she was like, what? It's 4:00 now, and the game's at 8, and I was like, yeah, and we want to be a little bit early. She's like, no, that's 3. And I was like,
that's an hour later. I was
like,
did bad math.
4 + 3 is most definitely 7.
I'm very tired. But that's what I mean. Like, I am not a math gay.
Yeah.
And even I knew that 6 + 1 = 7. Apparently Violet did not take the math class that I took when I was 5.
Okay, so a lot of people's defense of Violet in this relationship, in the way it's handled in this book, is that it's not really fair of Xaden to be saying, you just ask me questions, and her being like, well, how am I supposed to know what questions to ask? Do you think that that's a fair defense of her behavior in the book?
No. If you were like, okay, tell me everything about yourself, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I don't know where the fuck to start. Give me at least a question to start off of, and then you can kind of snowball from there.
Yeah.
Where once you have the fire lit, it's so much easier to keep it going. Mm-hmm. But like, sparking that kindling of like, where do I start introducing myself as a person in my entire history? I think it is very reasonable for him to be like, you gotta ask me something, because what is relevant? What do you want to know? Like, what are your boundaries in terms of like past relationship stuff? Like that does come up. He's like, look, I don't want to know, really. Like, that's,
I don't care who your exes are. Yeah.
I don't care. And like,
even though apparently Violet fucked everyone in infantry.
No, she fucked one infantry person. Like, I'm like,
I think it's implied that it's more than one.
Maybe. I don't know. The character is young trope to excuse bad decision making is so burned by now. Yeah,
Gongi Bongi, you're so right. Absolutely.
I was exhausted by this book. And I do sympathize that Violet does not know the questions to ask, but you have to start somewhere.
Yes.
And Xaden has been like, I will tell you whatever you want to know, just ask. It is that, like, if they want an equal relationship, then she has to meet him halfway.
But she wants him to tell her everything.
So yesterday morning, I woke up, and it took me about like 27 minutes to roll around in bed and then kind of like wake up a little bit. And then I walked over to the sink.
I get the joke you're making, but let's not do this for 10 minutes. The point that I think, the reason why I think this happens in the book, to bring it back to the book and to not just be negative, I think that Rebecca Yarros wrote the half intrinsic power for Xaden.
Yeah.
And the you made a deal with my mom thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those were ideas that she had very strongly planted in her head.
Yeah.
And I think that she wanted those to drop like bombshells on a relationship that was already strained. Right? I do think that that's what she was going for.
Yeah.
And so I understand, I think I get why it happens within the book.
Yeah.
I just also think that it is deeply uninteresting. It's a deeply uninteresting relationship. Xaden is great, and I understand why people love him as a book boyfriend. I think that people who call him morally gray don't understand what like morally gray means, because he's very morally righteous. Like he's a very like lawful good character almost all the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him in like lawful evil. I wouldn't put it like, if you're talking about D&D spectrums, he's a lawful good character. His lawful might not be everybody else's lawful, but it is always for moral righteousness, right?
No, I don't know. Here's the problem: is that the very end decision that he makes, like, I feel like goes against his character and also goes against that. So I'm like,
I disagree with that, though.
all right.
We'll get to it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't. We're not going to go chapter by chapter. I'm not talking about all 66 chapters of this book.
No.
But the Xaden never makes any decisions that are selfish, right? His decisions are always about the 107 marked ones, about Aratia, about, and yes, you could be like, well, Violet, he loves Violet, so it's selfish for him to make decisions that are about her. But he very rarely makes decisions that are purely about himself. He makes decisions that are bad, right?
Sure.
But he doesn't make morally bad decisions.
Yeah.
They're always about helping the unhelped.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't describe him as morally gray.
And I think that people say, like, well, he kills people. And I'm like, well, yeah, but they're at war.
Literally,
Everyone in this war kills people.
everyone is murdering everybody. It's a little ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, so starting with, like, being back at college.
Should we go to the top of the book and, like,
Yeah,
work our way
yeah.
through? Okay.
They go back to the college, right? The start of this book is in Aratia, and their plan is to go back and pretend like nothing ever happened.
No. Their plan is to go back and say that they were attacked by griffins and that they took so long coming back because they had to heal.
Yeah.
They had to find a healer.
Yeah, and bury
Not
the
that
dead.
nothing happened.
Sure. I mean, like, nothing in terms of, like, the truth.
I'm just saying the important distinction between what I said and what you said is that they do actually have a plan that could work.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that there's no reason for the dragons to lie to each other.
Yeah.
Like there is a deep running problem in this series that Rebecca Yarros will not address because it will break the series.
Yeah.
Of the trust between rider and dragon is never brought up, and the fact that the dragons have been lying to their riders full stop consistently at every moment of their bond is not something like Mira does not ever come to Violet and go, our dragons have been lying to us. I don't know that I can ride her. I don't know that I can trust her.
Yeah.
Because every moment of our bond has been a lie.
Yeah.
Is a really interesting concept that this book has no interest in.
Yes.
No interest in the fact that this entire military, thousands of dragon riders, all at once find out that they have been lied to about the Wyvern, been lied to about the war, been lied to about the Promish civilians, been lied to about everything. Their dragons knew all of those lies, and not one rider is like, wait a second, my dragon's lying to me. That's my closest bond. How am I supposed to deal with that?
Yeah.
It never comes up, even though it feels like that should be a wildly important part of a series that is so foundationally built on dragon bonds.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a problem. I think that the dragon bond in general is a wishy-washy problem that then, like, comes back with what I mentioned in the first book. Jack Barlow's dragon reads his mind and is like, that man wanted to murder a baby dragon. I'ma bond that bitch. Like, and
He tried to kill a Feathertail. That's my guy.
That's my guy. And I'm like, okay. If there's one thing that we've established about dragons, it is that their hatching grounds and their children are the most, like, fiercely kept secret, the most protected thing that their society has. They made this fucking deal with humans so that they could protect their eggs.
Yeah.
And Jack Barlow's dragon is like, that's the one. That's my guy. Actually, the baby murderer. Yeah, I want him. And I thought that was going to be addressed, and it is not.
Alec in chat says, great second half. I actually like the first half more. Second is so full of plot holes. That is very surprising to me. I think let's talk about the first half and why we don't like it.
Because I think it depends what you like. Unfortunately, the first half, to me, feels like it doesn't go anywhere and is just Violet and Xaden having the same argument over and over and over again.
Well, and Varish and then the other half of it is that Varish is incompetent and also
just evil.
Just so
Capital
evil.
evil.
And evil in a way that people tolerate, even though I said I was going to be more positive than you, but, like, we're just going to complain about this book forever because Varish is indicative of one of my biggest problem with Rebecca Yarros' writing, which is that every single character has an equivalent emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
There is no character in this series that's emotional intelligence is above 18.
Yeah.
The adults are all the exact same.
Everyone's wisdom is at a 10.
And their intelligence is at an 8.
Yeah.
Like, even our characters that we're told are smart are frequently not, right? And so Varish,
Violet's apparently very smart, but can't add 6 + 1.
Well, and so like so we start the book. They come back with the Griffins, right?
Yeah.
Or they come back saying they were attacked by Griffins.
Yes.
They're allowed to go back to school. They say they're going to go back to school because if they don't return, the 107 marked ones will be killed for some reason that they never get into. Why they would just murder them. And why haven't they already just murdered them? If that is an option, if just murdering them is an option, they should have done it. There's no fucking reason for the marked ones to be kept alive in the series.
I think it's because if Xaden deserts, Xaden has taken responsibility for all of the marked ones by the scars on his body. If he deserts, they will kill all of them, is the deal that I believe was made, right?
But if he's just dead...
Well, yeah, there's that.
If he deserts, yes, kill all the marked ones. I understand that idea because they're likely to desert with him.
How would they know?
But if he just dies, that's not desertion. And honestly, if they were actually good at propaganda, which they're not because Rebecca Yarros doesn't understand propaganda, they would use him as a martyr to keep all of those marked ones fighting for the army. If he died fighting the enemy, you would have zealots who want revenge for Xaden. Like, the idea that Xaden dying in a fight against their enemy would mean that the marked ones should be all killed is just one of the concepts in this book that I genuinely didn't understand. But anyway, they decide to go back to school, and we get back, and the most obvious thing happens in the world, which is that Xaden produces the piece of paper that Dane Atos' father wrote.
Yeah.
That basically admits
Atos, I think,
that he emptied a strategic outpost for a game outside the borders.
Yeah.
And Mira's and their mom, what's her name? Olivia?
Lilith
is like,
Sorengale.
The fuck are you thinking?
Yeah, is literally.
And he's like, well, you said it was my
I could be in charge of the games this year. And she's like,
he doesn't even try and justify it.
I know.
Because he's not an intelligent adult. He's a child.
Yeah, he literally didn't think this through.
He, like everyone else in the series, is a child.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation. There's no attempt at an explanation. There's no moment of like mustache twirliness. Or sorry, there's only a moment of mustache twirliness where he's like, I'm actually a villain. Your secrets are going to die. So then this leads to the most insane part of the first half, which is that the military leadership has a secret that they're trying to keep secret through propaganda.
Yes.
They know that the people that they don't like in their own cadets know that secret.
Yes.
And they do not monitor them 24/7. Instead, they mostly let them walk around with their friends saying whatever the fuck they want and only check their bag when they're leaving.
Well,
and it's like,
they do try to assassinate them several times. They kill half of them.
Weeks later,
yeah.
Violet could have told everyone day one what the truth was on the border. And they could have used fucking the memory shit where the dragons can just share memories to people day one, and the military couldn't have stopped it because they're morons. They're like, it is such an incapability of propaganda to be like, yeah, you guys can walk around the school. We're just going to assume that you're not going to tell anyone. We're going to send assassins after you. They're always going to fail.
I think
it's genuinely baffling.
I think that Dane's father believes that like threatening Mira's life is enough to keep Violet quiet, but that's a risk, especially with a character who is as righteous as Violet is.
Okay, but this gets into the problem of the book, right? The problem is that the Venin are coming.
Yeah.
The military leadership know the Venin are coming. And this is...
What are you going to do when they come a-knocking?
This is the biggest problem, right? The military leadership can't just keep killing off their own weapons.
And they have no plan to deal with the problem.
Yes.
That is, it is imminent. Like when we meet General Malgren later, he has no plans.
Just none.
No ideas. He's got concepts of a plan, but that's about
it. He doesn't really even have that.
His concept of a plan is you guys will come fight for us, right? Yeah? No?
He doesn't. But
oh shit.
But he and it just drives me. Okay, yeah. The more I talk about it, I'm actually.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Reading it and not thinking about it, I think, was easier. Being like, oh, like this is kind of fun and moving quickly.
100%.
So
Here's the thing, if you don't think about this book too hard, if you don't think about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame too hard, they can be very fun reads that do, again, have interesting ideas. But I do think that these books are literally, and I'm about to say maybe the meanest thing that I've ever said on book club, I think that these books are written for people who peaked in high school and haven't matured past the age of 18. Like, that is like the target audience that Rebecca Yarros is writing for. And I think that it is so apparent the further, into the series that we get.
I think that's generous. Like, I think
I thought that was mean.
I think that it is kind of for people who are above 18, who can read about sex.
That's what I mean. They have the emotional intelligence.
Upgrade their reading level past middle school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think the Catcher in the Rye would be a little tough for this audience.
Sure. Yeah. And it is...
I think like Lord of the Flies might be a little dense for the people who really love this series.
And the worst part about it is because I think that there are good ideas in here, reading it is even more disappointing. Like, if it had just kind of been bad and uninteresting all around, I would have been like, yeah, I mean, this was kind of like whatever. I don't really recommend it. But I think, like, I feel something for this because I see where the potential is and just how much it has let me down.
The concept of there being a country that has dragons and wards that is using propaganda to scare its or to keep its citizens from being scared of the war that they think will never reach them, and then the war reaches them is really interesting. And there is a version of that story that I think would be, like, delightful. Or not delightful, it'd be really rough, but, like, it would be a truly energetic read.
Yes.
The problem is that the execution of the propaganda element of this series is so lackluster.
It's so surface level.
And it's so, the villains are so obvious. Varish is so villainous at every opportunity. Yeah. There's never a moment where he appears clever. He is just a brute force.
Yeah.
And the problem with the brute forceness of him is that he should be punished. Like, he is doing things that are wrong constantly in front of people who are telling him that he is doing things wrong, but no one punishes him, and so the military structure falls apart. You're like, I don't have to buy into the military structure of this world because it clearly doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. As long as you, like, follow the codex, you can do whatever the fuck else you want.
The propaganda element, which is Markham's job, right? Falls apart immediately, and he just is like, well, you guys didn't realize it was propaganda. And it falls apart immediately, and you're like, I don't have to really care about the propaganda because it's not very well done. And then so the book, by not investing in those moments nearly as much as it invests in Zayden's abs, slowly it chips away at what I care about. So that when we get the reason why the first half is weak to me is because the writing of the execution of the things that make up the first half shows that they're not well thought out enough for me to care. Yeah. Whereas when we get to Aratia in the second half, Aratia is actually pretty interesting.
It has the far more interesting ideas.
And I think that Rebecca Yarros is much better at writing the underdog concept than she is at writing the government. I wish she left the government mostly out of the book. Yeah. Because I just don't think she writes that very well. Yeah. But the underdog element, I think she does. I think there are elements of the relationship building of the squad in the second half that are much stronger. I think that there is elements of, like, the family relationship in the second half of this book that is much more interesting. Yeah. And is, I think the only adult that I think kind of breaks out of my emotional intelligence conversation that I've been having is their mom. I think their mom actually displays adulthood. She's the only character who does, but she actually displays adulthood in this book in a way that becomes very interesting in the second half and leads up to her death, which is by far the best scene in the book.
Oh, yeah, hands down. 100%. So Jim says, honestly, should read more bad books. Makes you appreciate good books even more. Yeah,
there's validity to that.
We were like, I was like, God damn, give me Stormlight back. Oh my God.
I was like, I can't wait to read Rhythm of War again.
Well, and I said to you, I was like, like, you didn't love Cradle, and you're like, God, Cradle is worlds above beyond better than this. Like.
Yeah. I would think actually I liked Fourth Wing more than Cradle. But I think
really?
Which is weird because I think this book might be better than Fourth. I don't know. It's very weird.
No, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Can I levy another problem I have with this book?
That's what we're going to be doing for the next hour.
It's 600 pages. Yeah. It's so long.
I can
Why is this book so long?
Because they have to have the same fight for 5 months.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I wanted to fucking throw this book. Now, part of my frustration does, I think, come with the audiobook narrator, which is unfortunate. I think that she does a great job in the...
She grew on me, I'm not gonna lie.
I think she does a good job of the dramatic scenes and the action stuff. But the casual conversation and the fighting, like the dialogue stuff, drove me up the fucking wall. Because again, they talk and they sound like they are like 16,
I don't blame her for that,
olds.
though.
No, but that's how it's written.
I think she just read the book and like...
No, I don't blame her for it. I couldn't fucking stand it.
Oh,
like, genuinely, I was sitting there being like, I have to stop. I have to stop.
When Xaden calls Violet Endgame...
Oh my god.
I was like, wow, what is this brain rot that has gotten into this fantasy novel? It is one thing to come up with your fantasy version of Endgame, right?
Yeah.
It is one thing to like invent something.
Bringing TikTok-isms into a fantasy book is so weird. What was the one I brought up when I was reading?
And my problem, Hot Minute?
No.
That was another one that bugged me. Wait a hot minute. Well, I was like, wait a hot minute. What is this?
I mean, that I could at least... There was one I literally like brought it up to, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But I can't remember.
So the modernisms are funny, but my problem with the Endgame line isn't that he says, you are my Endgame. It says that he says, we are Endgame. You are Endgame. Like, that it is even in the, like, clipped... speak pattern of modern speak.
Yeah.
It's not even that he used the word endgame and it like insinuates endgame the way that we use endgame now.
Yeah.
Or not even that we, but like that like Tumblr uses it.
Yeah.
But it just felt like he was I don't like that it was used at all. B, I don't like that it was the male character that used it, because that is specifically a theys, gays, and she's, theys, and gays kind of speak online. Right. That's not like straight guy talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, you should have said wifey material, you know.
That, I mean, he might as well have. Yeah. And look, I'm not trying to, like, say that language is gendered, but some language is somewhat gendered. Or at least,
just
like...
used in specific communities.
Not used by straight men who don't show their feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he does. He is constantly telling her he loves her. She's like, I don't know how he feels about me. And he's literally, like, crawling through glass, reminding her over and over and over again that she's the only thing in the world for him. And she's like, I don't know. I love him, but I don't think he loves me. And I'm like, girl, you are the dumbest person in the world.
So not only that, but everything... So first of all, I was like, why do these two people love each other? No idea. The only thing...
Well, because he read her intentions. And her intentions... were to bounce up and down on that dig.
Pretty much, yeah. They're two hot people who have hot sex. Is like basically all I can garner from their relationship, because every time Violet is like, God, that's why I love him so much, it has to do with her. It has nothing to do with Xaden
what he is towards her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has nothing to do with who he is as a person. It's how he reacts to her, right? Like, oh, he loses control for me, and that's why I love him, and that is so fucking toxic, and like ick, just gives me the ick all around. I genuinely, like, throughout this book was like actively trying to understand why these two people loved one another.
Yeah.
And I do not know. I could not possibly tell you, other than they're just hot people.
But at the same time,
hot people.
At the same time as that, they also have a relationship that is deeply embarrassing to everyone around them.
Oh my god!
Like, they are so gross. Like, in public.
We kiss and like canoodle in public a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
But they are full on sucking each other's tongues into the other's mouths.
To the point where it is remarked upon when he doesn't put his tongue in her mouth in public.
She's
like, usually he tongue fucks me in front of my mom.
Yeah.
And he didn't tongue fuck. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
I could not be around these two.
The one thing I did appreciate about this book is that it was Well, one of the comedic bits that really worked for me was people commenting on the fact that they're arguing, but no one's saying anything. Because it drives me crazy
That
in
they
media
argue in their heads.
when, like, there are long stretches of people talking in their heads and no one comments on the fact that that's happening.
Yeah.
And so I did appreciate, I thought Kat has a really funny moment where she's like, are they fighting silently?
Yeah.
And yeah, they do that.
They do that.
As if Kat was ever going to win.
It's annoying as fuck.
As if Kat was ever going to win that when Violet literally has a mental connection to him.
Yeah, I know.
And look, I honestly think that if I had a mental connection to a woman, that's a woman I would date.
Sure.
Because I don't know how I could be with someone else. Like, it would literally...
Because that person would be like, wait, you have this mental connection with another person. Like, if
our
they were...
dragons are bonded, like, how do they get out of this relationship?
It is really tough. The one thing that I will say that pleasantly surprised me is when we started doing the whole like jealous ex thing. I was like ready to fucking throw this book and like light it on fire and never pick it up again. But at least it is more interesting than just like, oh no, I'm also in love with him. It's like his position within like their political structure, like she's third in line to inherit a throne, but if she marries him, like she becomes a queen, like she actually has power and that kind of thing. I was like, oh, okay, I appreciate that this is just more than Xaden is apparently the hottest human being on the planet to exist and everybody falls in love with him.
Well, and that they were betrothed. Like, I also think the reason why the jealous ex thing, her showing up in the like fucking naked silk clothing was dumb.
That's full on Bear Lane shit. You know what I mean?
But that only happens once, and Violet and Kat move on relatively fast. They kind of become friends pretty quickly. It doesn't last. Like, if that had been from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, it would have been too long. But because it really only takes place over like 200 pages total.
Yeah, they fight about it.
Yeah, and Kat's,
and then it's fine.
They have a couple of bad moments, and then they kind of become adults weirdly. Like they work it out. Now it takes Solus showing up, and they have to fucking kill a dragon together for them to work it out.
It takes Violet saving her life.
Yeah.
Right.
But also like the fact that Kat loses. Oh my god, what was her name? Was it Llewellyn?
It started with an L.
Yeah, it was Llewellyn. The fact that she dies because Violet can't save her, and that sets Kat off, it makes a lot of sense to me because okay, I want to talk about the Griffin Riders for a minute because I actually found. Should we finish the first half and then move on to the second half?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
So I'm just going to bullet point really quick things that didn't work in the first half for me and why it didn't work. Varish sucks. He's too obviously evil. And I read a review where someone was like, I like the first half because there was a villain that's super easy to hate. I'm like, yeah, he's easy to hate because it's so fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't have to think at all. He's just bad.
Yeah.
Varish being evil was boring. The RSC interrogation training sucked because they didn't teach them anything.
They didn't teach. They just use it as an excuse to murder students and torture their dragons. We talked about this. Like, if you are in first year, okay, I think I can excuse the, like, rampant murder, I guess.
Yeah.
But once you're in second year and you have been bonded to a dragon for more than a few weeks, that dragon is tortured through your bond, especially if you die. Yeah. And they just use torture training to straight up murder these children and therefore maybe killing their dragons or torturing them.
There's no reason for the dragons to be putting up with the system at all.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You think, oh, dragons do not answer to humans is such a big part of the first half of this book.
Yeah.
And yet they are subject to like these ridiculously dumb methods of teaching these kids, and it blows my mind that it has gone on for as long as it has, because you would think the dragons would be like, actually, we don't like being tortured.
Yeah, we don't like having our emotional relationships be killed for no military, strategic, or intellectual value. Yeah, it's rough. Varish. The other problem with the interrogation, I wouldn't mind the interrogation training as a concept if they took how to survive interrogation training class, and then they were interrogated.
Yeah, they got a book to read.
The problem with it in this series, and it is the problem with it being a school series, is that Rebecca Yarros isn't interested in the school part at all.
Yeah.
And so, like, the classes are deeply uninteresting. There's no depth in the schooling. I don't really understand what they're learning. I don't understand what they're getting better at. And they don't teach them how to be interrogated. They just torture them.
Yeah.
Like, torture class is, we're going to torture you. And by torture you, we're going to break your bones. The problem with that is that unless the Mender's magic fixes their bones back to new, your bones...
You're actually weakening
You're making
riders.
your entire military weaker
Yeah.
by breaking their... Like, you get weaker over time by breaking bones.
Yeah.
Repeatedly breaking the same bone. When Violet is like, oh, like, Nolan's busy, I'm not going to get my arm mended, her arm is now weaker.
Yeah.
Right? And so this military academy's way of teaching people being, we are going to create a class where we're just going to kidnap you off the street. We're going to then break your bones and leave you in a position where you can't learn.
Yeah.
Because Violet's shoulder is dislocated, and then she is out of flight class for 5 weeks, right? Yeah. It is a system. It's a system where, like, the concept of it is so impossibly immature that it's the kind of thing that, like, an edgy 12-year-old comes up with. And I don't understand how, when a major publisher picked up this book, an editor wasn't like, hey, you might want to spend some time on the school part of this school series. I get that you want to have dragons and fighting, and I get that you want to have the sex, but this is a college show. The classes should matter a little bit.
Yeah.
So much so that when we get to Aratia in the second half, the teachers are like, what the fuck were they doing at Bezgayev?
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, they're like, you guys haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
And so the like, competent bad guy isn't competent. At no point does the book set up that Malgrith and his system are at all competent at anything. There's nothing they're good at. They're just bad at everything.
Yeah.
And so when he shows up asking for help, Zane's like, fuck you. I'm like, yeah, fuck him. He's
like,
a
I get
moron.
it.
Why help this man?
Yeah. Yeah, part 1 ends with the torture. Okay, so first of all, there are several assassination attempts on Violet and the others in their group that came back. Some of them do get killed. And one important thing that we should mention is that Jack Barlow comes back after being buried by a mountain, and he's been healed by Nolan. And for some reason, he saves Violet's life during an assassination attempt, and it's like, cool, you didn't kill me at this point, so I didn't kill you here. Cool, we're even, whatever.
This is another moment. The Jack Barlow thing is another moment where Rebecca Yarros' mysteries and puzzles are often just that characters don't assume that literal information is literal. They think the characters in this series, for some reason, think everything is subjective.
Right.
That all of it is like, that people speak in poems. Because Nolan is like, I was trying to save a soul. And I was like, oh, he was trying to cure venin. We talked about this. Remember? When I was like, oh, he's trying to cure venin. That's why it's the same, this one patient behind closed doors this whole time.
Yeah.
And so Violet has a moment at the end of the book where she's like, oh, when Nolan said that, he meant that literally. And I was like,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad you caught up to that, girl.
Yeah, we'll get to Jack more specifically at the end, but he does come back, and we wrap up the college stuff with Violet nearly getting tortured to death by Varish. Dane Atos comes in and decides not to be an asshole.
Huge credit to Dane.
Actually,
the first time that he's brought in to read her memories, he says no, and he's like, fuck this, and walks out.
Yeah.
You know what? Dane, pretty good character in this book.
I want to give credit where credit is due. I think he might be the most interesting person and have the most growth over this book, right? Like, there actually is growth. There is a shift. There's change. He says, no, he's not going to read Violet's mind until they come back later. And Varish is like, no, we're torturing her because she is a spy. This happened. We have proof. We have this, blah, blah, blah.
With pretty solid evidence. She did break into the royal
So
crypt.
Dane is like, oh, shit. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to read her mind then, because this is pretty convincing.
Yeah.
And Violet shows him exactly what happened and the stuff that they're hiding.
Which my favorite line in the first half, because it is the most like, trust me, bro, that no one would ever trust, is when Varish goes, if you see anything you don't understand, tell me first and I will explain it to you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
trust me, bro.
what?
Yeah.
That's your plan?
Yeah.
And this gets into like the
Again.
incompetence of the villains.
Yes.
He basically is like, hey, I haven't prepared you for the fact that everything I've been telling you is a lie. And so when you see that everything I've been telling you is a lie, I need you to still trust me.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You have no strategy for telling someone who you are going to use as the spy. Like, Dane should know. The fact that Dane doesn't know and that Varys is using him in this moment is just so impossibly stupid.
Varys should have spent the last 5 days prepping Dane for this moment.
He should have been doing propaganda.
Yeah.
It's almost like the propaganda team should be doing propaganda and they're fucking not for some reason.
Yeah. So obviously Dane reads her mind, sees what actually happened, and is like, what the fuck? So Dane helps Violet to escape.
Yeah.
Xaden shows up. Violet's mother shows up.
Yeah.
And they're able to escape the college, and they go back to Aratia.
Some really
with a bunch of the cadets, because they tell them what's been going on.
Well, and the way this plays out, I like Xaden's plan here a lot.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff where like what Xaden's doing off page is often more interesting than what's happening on page.
Yeah.
Xaden has led. So Xaden finds out that Violet has been kidnapped. And they've developed this tincture that stops people from being able to connect with their dragons.
And it
their
also
signets.
Dampens their signet.
And so Xaden knows that she's being tortured, and so he goes a wyvern hunting and manages to capture or kill enough wyverns to drop one at every outpost of the Navarian army.
He hunts down probably 20 wyverns,
which
or
is
some shit.
Flying around a whole continent. The logistics of this, nuts.
Well, it takes 18 hours to fly from Aratia to Biscayet. So I don't know how he did that.
No, he doesn't do all of them. His team, only drops one, right?
Yeah.
So, but the cool concept of this is fuck your propaganda.
Yeah.
Which is like the good guys do something very interesting. And so I was like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. What are the bad guys going to do? What is their master plan to step 2 of the propaganda? They literally don't have a next step.
No plan for when the wyvern just show up.
The military literally goes, yeah, we were lying. If you want to leave, you can leave. They're so incompetent that the plan that General Melgren has for when the secret gets out, because the wyverns are on the border, they're already there, is you got us.
Yeah.
I genuinely couldn't believe.
They're at least able.
I couldn't believe it.
They're able to clear it up for the civilians and keep the propaganda going. But yeah, for the college, they're like, shit, we didn't have a plan.
Not the college, the entire military.
Yeah, which is the dumbest thing, because the wyvern can fly, and there's already reports of
Mira saw them with her own eyes.
Dragons. Finey, welcome on in. Looks like we got to change the Twitch title.
Oh, we're on Twitch. I didn't think we were on Twitch.
Oopsie.
I can fix that.
Sorry if you're over on Twitch. Hi.
Hi, Twitch. Sorry, I didn't know that we were live on Twitch, so that's my bad.
The restream is a little finicky.
We don't use restream anymore. We use the Stream Elements multi-stream.
Okay.
Because we don't have to pay for it.
Love that. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I think it is absolutely bonkers that there is no plan for when this information gets out and is revealed, because it is very clear that that is going to happen at some point.
Oh my god, and it is so obvious that they're coming. Yeah. They're literally coming up their main path in is up this one river, clearly towards Navarre.
Yeah, and once you get close enough to see that they are gray, you'd have some questions. So I just think, that was not well thought through.
Melgren just not having a plan is one of the funniest.
Yeah.
We look at how evil our bad guys are. Oh wait, it would be like if in Star Wars the Empire blew up Yavin, or blew up Alderaan, and then Princess Leia put out a message being like, they blew up Alderaan as to punish me personally, and Emperor Palpatine went, yeah, we did that.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay, bud.
Yeah. It doesn't...
Yes, we did.
Their plan is don't reveal it. They have
But
concepts of a plan.
The problem is they know the Wyvern are coming.
I know.
It is established
Mildred can
that they know
literally
they're coming.
see outcomes of battles. Like there's simply no way. It is poorly thought out. But
it's hard to talk about this book because I didn't hate. Here's the weird thing about it. I didn't hate reading it. I wasn't like miserable.
I kind of hated reading the first
Xaden,
half.
Yeah.
Every time Xaden and Violet were in a room together, I kind of hated it.
But like I get the people who are like, it's so easy to follow because I mean it's hard to follow. It is easy to follow because the writing is so simple that I'm never confused. I'm not confused on who the bad guys are. There's no interesting betrayals.
No,
like,
it's very easy.
The betrayal being Jack Barlow is very this book.
Yeah,
of course
like,
it's Jack Barlow.
It's
He's evil.
Yeah.
Right? Him being good for 2 scenes doesn't really change that.
Yeah.
And so it's so easy to like put on, but none of it really makes sense. I honestly think that because they're adapting this into a TV show, I think that's going to be hard to do. I think it's going to be really hard to adapt this series just because there's too many fucking dragons. Like from a CGI scale, every scene is a mess, right?
Yeah.
But also the plotting, if you start to break this down into weekly episodes, the plotting of a lot of those episodes, particularly in the first half of Iron Flame, is going to be this week on Varys is kind of the same dick he was last week.
Yeah, it's this week Varys is torturing Violet this way, and this week he's torturing Violet this way.
Zayden and Violet having the same argument for 7 straight episodes isn't going to work. It's just not going to work. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it just there aren't like episodic beats for this to get to until the second half when the Soulless fight will be a great episode.
I think
the final fight will be a great 2 episodes. Like there's great stuff in the second half.
In a TV show, I don't think you can make the first half of this book more than 2 episodes.
Gongi Bongi says, who in the heck gave this a TV show? It's popular.
It is.
This is popular. Like, and look, we should probably be loving it because it would be better for our numbers.
Yeah, we would get a lot more viewers and make more money if we were like, wow, yeah, this book's so fun. Zayden's super hot. Yummy abs.
Which he has.
He's
got that finger thing that Kat taught him. Look. Violet's best moment in this whole book, and Violet has some good moments in this book. Violet's best moment in this whole book is when she like realizes the power she has by going up to Kat and being like, hey, that finger thing? Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that.
That was banging.
Yeah.
But it was also the kind of moment that like I was surprised Violet had.
Yeah.
Because when we have the throne room sex scene and Violet is so like Kat told me that you guys had sex before and she's really hot and like I'm kind of into her and like I kind of want to fuck Kat. There were moments where I was like, Rebecca Arrow, so you need to have sex with a woman.
Yeah.
Like the way that you're writing the jealousy here, and it is just that
It's just that she's so beautiful and she's so hot, and am I attracted? No.
There were moments in the jealousy Violet is showing towards the fact that Kat and Xaden had a relationship where I couldn't tell if she was jealous that Kat fucked Xaden or that Xaden fucked Kat. Like, the way she was talking about Kat was so sexualizing of Kat's body that I was like, are you jealous that Xaden had her first?
Yeah, that is fair. It was, again...
This isn't very straight of you, Violet.
Yeah, well, and again, this is why, like, I genuinely hated this part until it was more than just stupid, jealous bullshit. Because, I'm like, what? You thought Xaden was a virgin? Sorry, girl, there's no way. The sex would be a lot worse if that were the case. Like,
yeah.
Like, just realistically. Yeah. So, yeah, we get to part 2. They've left the college.
Yeah.
They go to Aratia, and before... Oh, that's an ant on the floor.
Oh.
All right. Do I...
I'll get it.
Okay.
You talk about Aratia.
All right. Sorry, chat. Anyways, we get to Aratia, and Nerdy just chasing an ant. Basically, what's going on here is Brennan's like, yeah, we've kind of got like maybe like 6 months, I think, before we're all just like royally fucked. And it's like, okay, that's pretty tight timeline. They need to make a deal with, is it the king of Poromil?
No, it's Takaris.
No, he's not the king. He's the
Takaris is
prince?
no, he's like third in line.
No, Cat is third in line. So I think he's the prince. I
don't know, man. Oh, no. He's the... I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Not really.
This dude's a lunatic. This guy collects things, like, I guess.
Yeah.
But he has a venin in a box, and he wants...
we haven't got there yet. So
I'm
Violet...
skipping ahead because we don't need to go beat by beat.
No. I just mean, so Violet hears that this guy wants to meet her and wants to maybe collect her. And against everyone's wishes, she's like, all right, we're going to Poromil.
No, we're going to Candor.
Oh, is that where...
Calder?
Isn't the country Poromil?
I don't know, man.
There were a lot of names of things in the second half of this book that I kind of went, okay.
So Xaden doesn't want to go because this guy is basically the collector, Benicio del Toro's character from the MCU.
Yeah.
Where he basically is just rich and
he
a douche nozzle.
He pays people a lot of money to kind of like be his. Like, yeah.
And so Xaden is worried that he's going to do that to Violet for reasons I genuinely couldn't fathom. Like, Xaden is like, he's going to keep you. And I was like, what does that mean in this context? You think Taryn wouldn't rip the fucking... Like, Xaden's concerns here were so...
Yeah.
nonsensical to me.
You think that Scale is gonna consent to having to fucking fly all the way out there every 3 days? No, absolutely not. Yeah. There is just absolutely no world where that is possible.
There are times in this series where it's like they forget that they are the most powerful people on the planet.
Yeah,
they have dragons. They have the 2 most powerful signets, and they also like have an army.
Yeah,
the idea that Xaden can't walk into this dude's house and just take the luminary is so... And this is where the morally gray thing is so odd to me.
Yeah, because if he was morally gray, that's what he would do.
If Xaden was actually a morally gray character, then this would have been a heist. We would have broken the fuck in. Mm-hmm. We would have stolen the luminary.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have like offered the Griffin Riders a place at the college. But instead, because Xaden is just a good dude.
Yeah.
They do it the right way.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to go make a deal.
And he tries to choke out Takaris, but only after Takaris has literally put their life in danger by not telling them they're going to fight a venin.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If they had just said, you have to kill this venin, Violet would have been like, all right,
guy.
That wouldn't have changed the situation. The problem is that he lied about it. And so Xaden is choking him out for it.
Yeah.
That's not morally gray.
No. That's pretty appropriate.
It's morally, that's fair, bud.
Yeah.
And so Xaden is completely rational this whole time.
Uh-huh.
He's not rational before they get there, but once they're there, Xaden is a completely rational dude. He shows up Kat, like when Kat and Violet walk into the room, he only has eyes for Violet. There's none of the like, oh my God, he doesn't even glance at Kat.
He looked at her. Yeah.
He does not feed into the jealousy storyline at all.
Yeah.
He is a good fucking boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he just kind of crushes it. He is so good in the Takara scenes.
Yeah.
And so we get through this very awkward dinner. There's a silk in this world that's almost transparent. That is important because Kat shows up later to the door. That like Kat doesn't seem to know that Violet and Xaden share a room, even though I feel like she should.
Oh, everyone can literally hear them.
No, it is soundproofed.
No, not after the first time.
No, it is soundproof the first time.
No.
Yes, it is.
He puts it up.
He says, like, oh, you should soundproof the room. And he's like, because she's worried about it being soundproof the whole time they have sex. And then at the end of the sex, he's like, it already is.
I thought he literally did it.
No, the joke of the end of that scene is that it was soundproof the whole time, but he let her think it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. I was like, oh, that's aggressive. Cool.
Well, and Xaden, like, never...
But she's never seen them walk into that room together before bed. Like, come on.
Well, I just think that everyone in the palace would know. And if I was the obsessed, jealous ex, and maybe she showed up hoping Violet would see her in the gown, but that doesn't really make sense to me because Violet would kill her. Violet has murdered other cadets for less.
Yeah, at this point.
But Zayden also does like the problem with Zayden and Violet's relationship is that I like Zayden a lot. I just don't like Violet.
Yeah.
Because Zayden wards her room at Besgaeth. This is still in part 1, but he wards her room in Besgaeth against people coming in.
Yes,
right?
unless she is like pulling them.
Unless she pulls them in, and himself. So he gives himself access to the wards. But she's like, oh, so you can pull people into your room at Samara, and he's like, nope, just you and me.
Just you and me.
And like, there's moments like that where I'm like, God, Zayden is he's good at this.
He's trying to do good work. He's trying to be a good boy.
Yeah.
But she just makes
He's not even trying. He is.
Yeah. She just makes it so fucking difficult because she thinks that she is what's
the full truth.
Yeah. What's the word where you like think that you deserve something that like
entitled?
Yeah. She thinks she is entitled to not only Zayden's personal secrets, but the secrets that Zayden knows about everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Which is just absurd. They are, first of all, in the military. Second of all, if they weren't in the military, I would think it was absurd if we started dating and I said, if you want to be with me, you have to tell me everything about everyone that you know.
Well, no, it's more about the revolution. I don't think she's like, I need you to tell me everything about Garrick. You know what I mean?
No, but that is included in this, like, knowing everything. Look.
I get what, I think that you're being a little harsh on it. I think that the knowing everything is more secluded to the battle stuff. I don't think that
which, again, is classified information, and you want to be part of a war.
But it gets more into, like, the deal with her mom and his second signet and... Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, they kill the Venom. They almost kill Takaris. They get the Luminary. But Takaris makes the deal that they have to take the Griffin Riders. So in the background of all of this, the Venom have destroyed Cliff Spain, where the Griffins train. And so the Griffins are all here. And Takaris wants the Griffins trained up at Aratia.
Yeah.
And they agree to this. Because of course you would. This is...
Why would you deny allies?
Yeah, this is like... They're like, oh, God, this is going to be so rough. I'm like, what do you mean?
This is the best possible outcome. Yeah.
You get luminaries, and you get the chance to train the people you're going to be fighting this war alongside.
Not only that, but you have assimilated them into your command structure, which means that you are not then dealing with two different armies. You have assimilated two armies into one. This is the best possible scenario.
They are also fighting Venom and Wyverns more often than you are, so they know the Wyvern better.
Exactly.
But you also have dragons that they can train on to become better fighters. Like, the levels to which this made so much sense. Also, Zayden has been working with them for a while now. They literally fought with them before it Resin. Like, the book presents this as if this is the biggest hardship in the world. And I was like, from a military standpoint, there is no better outcome from this.
Yeah.
I understand that Kat and Violet don't like each other, but other than that, there's literally no downside to getting to train along the people you're going to fight this war with.
Yeah.
To coming up with strategies, because there might be strategies where two griffins and a dragon are the best, like, three-wing team to fight something.
Yeah.
You get to come up with strategies using the resources that you have instead of intentionally keeping these things separate and then hoping you can fight together on the battlefield later.
Exactly.
And
the fact that anyone would be upset over this is, again, childish, and it shows very low maturity. I do want to call Alec in chat. Says, my main issue with Aratia plot is they leave all the ward stuff and the book to Violet that knows nothing about it, and I could never stop thinking how they leave every important decision to students.
It's not... No. That makes sense to me. She's the only one... Her and Jacinia, yes, they're both second years, but they're the only ones who can read the language.
And Dane.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
But he's also a student.
He is, again, also a student.
Yeah.
And I think that is more of a resource thing than anything else. Like, it doesn't seem like any of the teachers will be helpful in this scenario.
They specifically don't have any other scribes. Like, Aratia doesn't have anyone who can translate. So leaving that decision to the adults is impossible because no one there can read the language.
I thought some of the scribe quadrant came with.
Only students.
Yes, again, so, like, students,
but, And so the wards thing comes down to who literally can read ancient Luceren.
It is interesting that nobody like checks in on the progress at any point, right? Like they do just kind of pass it off and leave it to someone else's devices.
Yeah,
which I think is a bit of an oversight, especially
I have
with
a feeling that Zayden is making
reports.
yeah,
I guess sure, yeah, I think that that's fair. But yeah, so
I do
the
agree.
main
I do agree though. The wards, the fact that they are able to solve it and then keep it secret for days, and they literally take the Griffin riders to like Rhiannon's mom's house to talk about top secret confidential information. Again, this is a series, but this is a series where the military structure is so poorly thought out that when they get to Aratia, the Aratian plan is to just have the military structure of Basgaev.
yeah,
They're like, oh, we're just going to use the Codex. Why?
Yeah.
And then the Griffin Riders rightfully show up, and they're like, why do you kill each other?
Yeah.
That's
wait,
so
you murdered
dumb.
Wait,
And-
you all die at threshing? They're like, we just jump off a cliff into the water, but if we land on a griffin, then we get chosen if we can hang on.
And they're like, what? So the parapet, yeah, we don't have a parapet where people die before they've learned anything.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'm like, thank God somebody acknowledges this.
Yes, but also having in-universe people comment on how dumb your world building is isn't a great choice either.
Yeah.
Like in book 2, to have basically a team of characters show up to be like, I'm sorry, book 1 had what in it?
Yeah.
Is a little bit rough.
Yeah, that is
Because
that is
all
fair.
of their points are so valid. The Griffin Riders show up and they're like, but why? And the problem is that the book doesn't have an answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
The book's answer to that is, well, because that's what's in book 1. As opposed to being like, well, like, it made us better. I guess that is the excuse they use. Like, well, we're better at experiencing death than you are. But that isn't true.
No.
Like, they're so bad at handling death.
Yeah. There are no classes that actually deal with like coping with emotions and compartmentalizing.
Well, there might be. We never see them in class.
And
They're
yeah.
apparently in class all the time, and we don't see any
We
of it.
see battle brief and we see like physical
But battle
stuff.
brief isn't a class. Like,
I
Rebecca,
thought it was like a strategy class where they're like learning how to ask the right questions to then.
that actually genuinely is not. Learning how to ask questions by asking questions isn't helpful. You need to take a class on how to strategize. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
They should have battle brief, and it should be someone telling them. But instead, their battle brief is, we're going to lie to you about the battle.
Yeah.
And then you're going to ask questions about it, and we're going to make up some bullshit that didn't happen. Who does that help? When you find out that the battle brief at Aratia is better, because at least they're asking questions about things that actually happened.
Yeah.
But the battle brief in Basgaev is an improv class. They're
Yeah.
just making shit up.
Pretty much. Yeah.
They're yes-anding the questions. Like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. The fact that Violet has been in battle brief for a year and a half about lies about the Griffins and doesn't know that there are different Griffins for different altitudes is just a failure of battle brief. Mm-hmm. If she's been asking questions about Griffins at different altitudes and the teachers have not been giving her honest answers about their enemy, they've just been making shit up, then the battle brief was pointless.
Yeah.
You didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't true. They were just saying shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a series where the military is just saying shit.
Yeah. Pretty much. So the running through line of this book is that Violet is trying to make.
Is this fun for anyone? Should we do
wards.
Onyx Storm?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if that's worth it.
Does anyone care? I want to read it, and like I maybe I'll just do a review. I just don't know that this book club is very good. I genuine question. We've been complaining for like an hour and a half, an hour and 8 minutes. It feels like we've been here for 4 hours. Does anyone want this?
I skipped
continue?
Onyx Storm. Great. Just read a summary.
Just read a summary?
No. That because I'm like, well, what's the point? Like,
But I'm just sitting here like, you'll probably hate Violet even more in Onyx Storm. Oh, great. Sir Jimmer says, I'm having more fun not understanding anything since I've not read it.
honestly, I can respect that.
I just, and not to shut the conversation down. I just there are things in the second half of this book that I like, and I would like to get to them because we have spent an hour kind of shitting on it. But legitimately, like, I don't know how to do this book club.
Yeah, I'd love to see y'all lose your mind at the plot craters because holes just don't cut it.
Yeah.
Fair. And I feel like I was losing my mind. Because, like, if a story is full of plot holes, but I love the characters and the world and the ideas behind the world, I can be more forgiving. But because I also just fucking can't stand Violet, and I think that most of the side characters are just interchangeable in their personalities. Like, everyone in Fourth Wing is just a little sarcastic, and that's their personality. Like, I don't think that any are very well fleshed out in this book. I thought Liam was the best, but Liam is now dead. And unfortunately, like, I don't really have anyone else in Fourth Wing where I like their worldview. I like their opinions. I like how they interact with things.
Okay, well then I'm going to compliment the book now. Let's do, you know what? It's time for Nerdy's compliment hour. I'm going to spend the next few minutes just listing off things I liked about the book.
All right.
It might be a full hour. Thing number 1, I really liked Rhiannon in this book. I thought she was a much more interesting character in a position of leadership. I genuinely liked everything about Rhiannon. Okay. There's not a moment in this book I didn't like her. I thought that her problems with how Violet was treating her were more valid than Violet's problems with Xaden.
And we did talk about that one of the better moments in the book is their conversation.
Yes. When Violet blows up.
Yes.
And when Violet allows herself to get truly upset about Liam's death. Right? Violet and Rhiannon's relationship is the relationship in this book that I was the most interested in. I thought that the way in which Violet was lying to Rhiannon and it was hurting their friendship was far more fascinating than the problems between her and Xaden. And the only negative I want to add into my positive moment here is I wish that the reason why Violet got over her shit with Xaden was because she realized that she was a fucking hypocrite and was doing the same thing to Rhiannon and the same thing to Mira.
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't. She's not self-aware enough to ever have that moment.
Yeah.
I really liked Rhiannon. I liked Rhiannon dressing down Violet a couple of times, but also like softening it to still be friends, but having a position of leadership.
We are still friends, and also, I'm in a leadership position, but also when you are doing unfair shit, I'm gonna say something.
Number 2 thing I really liked. I liked Auric. I thought Auric Greycastle, the son of the king, I thought the way that was handled was interesting. Yeah. I loved the scene on, when they get to the parapet, there is the moment where Auric gets there and Dane starts to say something and Violet this is with Sloane. Well, I'll talk about Sloane in a second. But the moments between Auric and Violet at the parapet were very interesting, leading up to one of my favorite moments in the whole book, which is when they're walking down to the scribe quarters and Auric just straight up reveals that he is aware of the secret and that's why he's here.
Yeah.
And Violet is like, oh shit.
Oh damn. Yeah.
Why do you think I'm here? Oryx, why do you think I'm here? I wish he'd had a bigger part in the second half. I understand why he can't because he's first year.
Yeah. But I do agree. I would have wanted more of that.
Liked him as a character, which leads into point number 3 of things that I liked in this book. I really liked the heist of the book.
Oh, yeah.
It was wrapped around various shit that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
But, well, no, far before. Like,
I guess what leads into the final act of part 1. Yeah.
I really like the heist. I enjoyed the breaking into the scribe quarters.
Very.
I love that they were like, we need to not. I can only bring 4 of you in because it's going to be suspicious otherwise. Because people are going to see us, and then they proceed to knock everyone who sees them unconscious. So there's no reason for them to have done the like only 4 of you can come in thing because they literally knock out everyone that they run into.
You're on positives.
No. I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
This isn't a negative. I thought it was funny that Justinia.
Yeah.
No. This isn't me being negative. Justinia is like, we have to be sneaky. And
they're like, we don't.
And Violet and Xaden are like, yeah, she's right. We'll only bring 4. But then Xaden goes through and just knocks everyone unconscious. And Justinia's like, we don't need, guys. We can sneak. Writers. I legitimately liked that.
Yeah.
I was not being negative. I thought it was very funny that Justinia's like, okay, we're just gonna beat them up too. Okay, cool. The plan was to walk in. We didn't need to do this.
Yeah.
Very funny. The heist was great. The fact that the way in which the tension of the in the vault room scene was handled was very good. They're going through all these shelves because, and then Violet is like,
they're on such a tight time crunch.
well, and Violet is like, oh my god, 10 minutes. Where are these fucking books? Oh, light damages ink. Pulls the velvet. I thought that all worked. The final ward that gives him the blisters.
Yes.
Like all of those elements of it really worked. Up until the fact that Violet is walking around Ryder's Quadrant with the cream satchel, and I was like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But girl, hide it better. You just committed a heist.
Yeah, I know.
What a dumb reason to get caught. But I love the heist. I found Sloane to be really interesting.
Okay.
I think that the bit of her being mad about it went on too long, and I think that the other marked ones should have done a better job of talking to Sloane.
Yeah.
I felt like Sloane was sort of Sloane was a little bit Imogen's responsibility in this book, and Bodhi's.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they either the book didn't explore it enough or they just didn't do a good job. But the marked ones I don't think took Sloane under their wing enough.
Yeah.
And kind of left her to just fester.
Be mad, yeah.
I'm glad it didn't end with her festering. But when Sloane is just this tortured character who at the end of the book kills Violet's mom.
Yeah.
Is the weapon that kills Violet's mom.
Yeah.
But not responsible. And that she's the character I'm most interested in on Next Storm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how does Sloane deal with the emotional damage of hating Violet this whole time for killing Liam, for being present as Liam dies?
Yes.
And then
her being the conduit for Violet's mom's death. Yes.
We also get the great moment in Solas's death where Sloane's power is the reason they're able to kill the dragon, right?
Yeah.
So Sloane had some really good stuff. I found her interesting. I love the moment in the Solas fight where Violet is looking up at Liam and thinks she's dying.
Yeah, but
and
it's
then
Sloane's
realizes
eyes.
it's Sloane's eyes.
Yeah.
That was some great writing. I really like the Solas fight.
The Solas fight was really good. There's a lot of good action moments that I want to commend in the book, and I think I'll include the heist in that because it is, more action packed. Like a lot of the combat, the battle scenes, the more high intensity moments in this book I thought were very well handled and very engaging to read.
The climb up the cliff, for how boring I thought it was going to be.
With the Griffins?
Yeah. I actually think that Rebecca Yarros writes that kind of tension really well.
Yeah.
The tension of these Griffins really struggling with hypoxia and having to climb this treacherous path that is booby-trapped against them.
Yeah.
Because she chose very specific moments of it to zoom in on.
Yeah.
I thought the climb up the cliff was exceptional. Like generally, when I say like the title of this episode is great second half, the stuff in the second half that really like the whole section of climb up the cliff was great. I wish the wyverns hadn't shown up. I didn't need that tacked on to the end of it, right? I think that it was good enough without the wyverns. The wyvern fight was still fine, and like the moment of her shooting the lightning down was good, and that stuff's cool, but the cliff climb on its own was interesting enough that I didn't need wyverns to show up, because I was like, I had wrapped up in my attention to that moment without them. I thought it was well done, genuinely, and the wyvern fight was cool. The moment was already good enough. I didn't need another. I didn't need a hat on that hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I thought she wrote that very well.
Yes, yeah, I'll definitely agree with that.
I wish we'd spent more time with the Griffins post that. It felt like they were a little missing from the.
Yeah. Again, it's more like the class situations, which at least they're like, we're learning to do runes, right? We find out that there's this Tirish magic of runes that is lost because no one speaks Tirish anymore.
But is wildly important how the world works.
So powerful. Yeah.
So the character we haven't been talking about at all, haven't even mentioned her name.
Oh, who is
in this entire book club, but is very important to this book. And Darna the dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Because in part 1, she's sleepy.
Yeah.
She got the eepies.
Yeah, dragons sleep through their teenage years, so they can't be bitchy towards their elders. No, it is somehow part of the growth process, and Darna's takes much
3 months.
longer than
Yeah.
usual. It's not looking good. You know, they're worried about her, but she does wake up.
Oh, this is okay. I know we're in positivity time, but I'm gonna be negative for a second. This is the biggest reason why the Varys stuff didn't work. I wish they had just come up with something that wasn't and Darna's not present, because there's no reason for the dragons to not be pushing back on if the Empyrean, right? If they legitimately want Andarna's secret to be kept, which is impossible and is a huge world building problem from book 1.
Uh-huh.
If they actually want the secret to be kept about the Feathertails, then they should be pushing Varys through his dragon to not be so focused on Andarna. But it seems like the dragons are like pretty fine with the secret coming out because they're not getting involved. And so the fact that it takes Taryn so long to tell him to stop fucking talking about Andarna not being there felt off to me.
Yeah.
Having said that,
sometimes the dragons just feel more like tools than actual people. Like.
Yes. No, 1,000%. The Empyrean feels nonsensical at times.
It is a plot device that is whatever it needs to be for the plot that Rebecca Yarros wants to write to happen.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I like Taryn a lot.
Yeah,
I think Andarna will grow on me eventually.
Yeah, she's still,
a teenager.
She just changed. Taryn, I think, is awesome, but he's kind of the only dragon with personality, and that's tough when. Right, like no one else. It's tough because obviously, like, you can't talk to other dragons that aren't yours. But it does, again, just make them feel like tools as opposed to characters in a book like this.
But without mental talks, we also don't see any moments of, like, time spent between dragons and the riders.
Yeah.
Outside of Violet. Like,
yeah.
We don't see Rhiannon be like, oh my god, I have some free time. I'm going to just go hang out with, I don't even know her dragon's name.
No, it's mentioned a few times at the end. But...
And so, like, even Scale, who feels like she should be very important to the series, the only thing I really know about her is that she doesn't like Violet for some reason.
She doesn't?
No, she hates Violet.
What?
Yeah, it's like the only thing about Scale that's mentioned in the book multiple times is that she does not like Violet.
When is that mentioned?
Multiple times throughout both books. She's not a fan.
Oh.
Yeah, doesn't like her. But see, this is my point.
Then why did Scale call for Taryn?
What?
Then why did Scale call for Taryn?
What do you mean call for Taryn?
In book 1, to bond her. And Darna's about to die, and Scale is the one who calls Taryn and saves Violet. Why would she do that if she hated Violet?
I don't think she's calling Taryn to bond Violet. I think she's calling Taryn...
She calls Taryn to save Violet. Violet's about to die.
Sure. I think that she's calling her mate to come help with the situation. I don't think she's like, you have to come... To
save a human's life.
Sure, whatever. Scale doesn't like Violet. She is very prissy with her. And Violet knows that Scale does not like her.
But she says she doesn't like her? Because I definitely missed that.
I don't know if she says she doesn't like her. Violet says Scale doesn't like me in the books.
Okay.
And Xaden is like, no, she's just tough.
Okay.
But that's all I know about her. Like, she's the third most important dragon in the series.
Yeah.
And okay. Say that I didn't say that. What do you know about Scale?
That she's like fully in the rebellion because she deliberately chose Xaden because she bonded Xaden's grandfather as well.
No, like about her personality, not her choices.
Yeah.
What do you know about Scale?
She is righteous, and that's about all I could attribute to her.
We're over 1,000 pages in.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The fact that there's not a third dragon that I could tell you anything about their personality
makes them feel like plot devices.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's a problem.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
One of the problems with that is what was that?
Okay, that's not that important.
Okay.
I just want to make sure it has nothing to do with...
It was just to both of us. So, I actually think it's a problem. I think it is a problem that I don't know what anyone is good at in schooling. right? I don't like Rhiannon is good on the mat. That doesn't matter to the kind of combat.
Violet is smart.
They're good at things that aren't relevant to the combats they get into, right? Like Rhiannon being good on the mat is functionally useless against the Venin.
Because if you touch them, you're fucked.
In fact, the only person who has a skill that is legitimately useful, or there's two people that have skills that are legitimately useful against the Venin. The arrow girl who dies, who has... There's a girl who dies, and they're like, the girl with the particularly great bow skills. And I was like, you guys shoot bows?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They said that, and I was like, do you guys have
bows?
I've never seen... Is there an archery class at Bezgaev?
Never seen it.
It is never brought up. Yeah. And then it is noted when someone dies. Yeah. And then Violet can throw daggers. Like, Violet is uniquely good at the only thing that matters in Venin fights.
Well, and the lightning as well, because that can kill them.
Sure, but I'm saying, like, this is a series where we are going to spend the next after book 1, we're going to spend 4 books fighting Venin, right? Because there's 5 books in the series.
Oh.
And the only character who's established to be of any value in that is Violet. These other characters don't have any value in Venin fights. Dane's ability to read minds is functionally useless in the Venin War.
Xaden's shadows are helpful. Because Xaden can hoist them up so they can't, like,
and yet
get
Xaden
power.
had to use Venin powers to fight one sage. Yeah. Xaden is... Oh, by the way, at the end of the book, Xaden's a Venin. What that means?
No idea.
Nothing?
Because I thought that just made somebody evil. But
it makes his eyes a little red. He looks like he has seasonal allergies.
Yeah, he just needs some, like, Visix or
he's
whatever.
Functionally still Xaden. He wants it cured. It doesn't change his personality. And maybe in Onyx Storm it will. But, like, at the end of this book, I was like, oh, Xaden is fucked. And then he, like...
He's fine.
Wakes up next to Violet and is allowed to go see Jack Barlow, even though Jack Barlow is also a Venin.
I know.
Like, nothing changes for him. This is... I know I said I was being positive. This is probably my biggest problem with the whole series. None of these things have consequences. Nothing that happens in this book leads to change in the scenario. Negatively.
Yes.
Only positive consequences.
Yes.
Like, Violet is tortured. Violet, like, you would assume that would have a negative... I guess she kind of gets PTSD about it. Like, she doesn't like smelling mold after that, which, fair.
Sure, yeah.
But, like, that's the bad thing that happens in this book. But other than that, every single action that happens from our characters or to our characters has positive effects. I mean, yeah, Lilith dies, but, like, that's sad.
I'm honestly shocked that Violet felt bad that her mom died. Her mom sucks.
Yeah, but her mom did sacrifice herself to, like, save the worlds. Like, her mom's final actions were pretty banging.
Yes. But if your mother, for your entire life, showed you no affection and your father basically raised you and she was a stranger who sent you to your death potentially multiple times and she died in front of you, would you be distraught? I wouldn't.
Can we talk... Wait. Can we talk about the justification for this? Because it's lunatic shit.
Oh, of her mom sending her
lunatic
into
shit.
the Riders?
So, Lilith Sorengale's plan is that she thinks... So, Markham is batshit propaganda man who's not doing a good job of it.
The head scribe, yeah.
So, he brings people into the fold as lieutenants.
Yeah. So, and they learn the secrets of the Venin because they have to. And... for some reason. And she knows Violet is going to be so good. She's the prodigy. She's the best. She's going to be the best. She knows that Violet is going to find out about the Venin and then die because she won't be able to follow through with the propaganda and she'll try and revolt.
So Lilith's like plan is to send Violet to the Riders where she's probably going to die because her body is jacked up.
Yeah.
Like
she
so that she doesn't die later because she might choose to not agree with the propaganda that Lilith agrees with.
But also sends her to go be with all the marked ones, including Xaden.
But she makes a deal with Xaden so that Xaden keeps her alive.
Yeah, Xaden keeps her. That's fine. That's whatever. But as soon as
Xaden owes her a favor because she cut his back up.
Because she allowed the
Them
marked
into the
ones
guy.
to be able to learn to... whatever, it's fine.
The fucking hoops. We performed...
mental gymnastics.
We performed with a First Nations performer named Dallas when we were younger. He's a
hoop dancer.
Incredible, like world-renowned hoop dancer.
Yeah.
Getting to watch this man hoop dance was truly one of the like spectacles of my life.
Yeah.
He is magic. Look him up.
Yeah.
Just Dallas hoop dancer. He will come up. I promise. He is so fucking talented. And that man could not juggle the hoops that this plot line was juggling.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, he is the best at it on the fucking planet. Or at least he was like 12 years ago. When I knew him. He was watching him hoop dance was like magic. Genuinely, I could not fathom the Phoenix thing that he did where he had like the wings that were like 12 hoops long.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that man could not juggle the hoops of this plot line.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Violet seems very upset about her mother's death for no reason.
No, she crushes it at the end. She does a good job.
Yeah,
she also like helps her get out of Biscaya after being tortured, and like her mom is a difficult woman, but like in this book in particular, her mom's actions are all pretty solid.
But the problem is that we know that there have been 20 years of neglect and abuse. And making the right choice at the very end, I'm sorry. If it were me, I might be a little bit sad, but I wouldn't be inconsolable. Now, for Brennan and
She's
Mira...
She's not inconsolable. She's sad for like 6 seconds, and then she goes and finds Xaden.
But then the book ends.
She is sad for... She's sad for all of like the walk up the stairs. This is why I disagree with you. She's sad immediately after her mom dies.
On the floor being like, no.
Yeah, in the room where her mom died, and then her mom's corpse gets charred as the wardstones get. Like, she's allowed to have 35 seconds of grief.
I guess.
You're acting like she's inconsolable like weeks later, but when Xaden wakes up next to her the next morning, she's sleeping like a fucking baby. It's not like her mom's death kept her up through the night.
I guess.
She's
I just think that like Brennan and Mira also, they were inconsolable. And like...
You keep saying inconsolable.
No, they were.
We have different ideas of what inconsolable means.
They were like sobbing and screaming and freaking out.
Okay, to be fair, hundreds of their friends just died. Like, yes, their mom died. They're in the emotional catharsis after that massive battle.
Okay.
Where they're finally safe for a second. They have put up a dam around their emotions for the last 3 hours, right? They have been in the most tense situation of their whole life. Their sister, who just saved the day, has walked up to them. And they go, "You're alive. You did it. You saved us all." And she goes, "Our mom's dead." And then they realize...
I thought they were in the room.
Oh, yeah, they were there. No, I'm thinking about when they walk up, she walks up to Rhiannon.
Yeah, no.
No, you're right, you're right.
No, they're in
right. No, but
because
like
Brennan is not in the battle. He's there healing the stone because they need the stone to not be cracked.
Apparently, mending means mending anything. I thought he was a healer. Like, I thought it was specifically healing. Apparently, he can fix things like anything.
Useful. Wow. Yeah, very useful.
No. You're right. I think like they have a moment of grief.
Yeah.
I don't think they're inconsolable. Inconsolable would mean that they like go and do irrational things, or that like a week later they're still like just destitute. I genuinely think they're sad for like
the book ends, so it's like, well, yeah.
Violet stops thinking about her mom by the time she's at the top of the stairs.
Because she's like, oh, Xaden's abs. Gotta go check on those.
She's sad her mom died, which I think is fair. Even though she's not the best person, if you watched a person you didn't know die in front of you, you would be a little bit like sad.
Yeah.
It's her mom. She's allowed to be sad for the walk up the stairs.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think you're going a little far with inconsolable. I sob when I don't want to spoil things. The number of things...
When sad things happen in movies.
The number of things you can watch me cry over on the internet, I cannot get mad at Violet for crying that her mom died in front of her just because her mom wasn't the best.
All right, that's fair.
Her mom did some great stuff. Her mom also sucked. Her mom was complicated. But Violet's not far from inconsolable.
Yeah. All right.
Practically Incarnate, thank you for this, I think her siblings were closer to their mother than she was before they learned the truth, at least. That's also true, right? Like, Brennan and Mira both went into the Rider Academy on their own volition.
Yeah, but
Mira
I can't
thought their
imagine
mom was
that,
a fucking war hero, like...
But I can't imagine that Mira would continue to have a positive relationship with her after she sends their youngest sibling to die in the Riders Quadrant. Like...
I just think that... I just don't think that, like, a year and a half of tough relationship stuff undoes...
I'm talking about attempted murder.
Decades of life.
No, I'm talking about attempted murder, not hard relationship
They don't view
stuff.
it as attempted murder.
Mira does.
No, they don't.
Mira fully goes up to her and is like, "You are going to kill Violet."
Sure, but
in
then
chapter
Violet
1
doesn't die, right? And that softens it. Like, because Lilith can go, "No, Mira, I was right. She's fine. She's got 2 dragons."
Because she had a fucking, like, dragon scale vest that Mira made. Otherwise, she would not have been fine.
100%. But, like, it's harder to make that argument in retrospect when Violet is the most important dragon rider on the planet. And, like, the world would be doomed if Violet hadn't been in the Dragon Corps.
It's not attempted murder if she doesn't die. I mean, I think that it just feels different.
It's not attempted murder at all. Right? Like, because you can't be like, I'm putting you in a situation where there's a chance that you'll die and be like, that's attempted murder. Because then, like,
I'm putting you in a situation in which you would die without Mira giving you a very special dragon scale vest that I don't know exists. It's
still okay. I just want to be very clear. That is still not attempted murder. Like, when NASA sends astronauts to space, the fact that there's a good chance they're going to die, murder. It doesn't make it attempted murder.
They, like, volunteer for it, but, you know.
I know. It's just not, it just isn't attempted murder. That's not what attempted murder is.
No, but here's the thing. The NASA does everything within their power to make it the safest possible voyage for these people. And fucking Lilith Sorengale doesn't even move the clouds for her daughter to be able to pass by without rain.
What?
It's raining at Parapet. The least her mother could do is make the storm go away. The absolute least her mother could do. Her mother tries to fucking kill her. Whether or not she summoned the storm, that's up for debate. But she could have made it go away.
You think she's Madame Morrible in it?
I'm just saying she has the power of storms.
I don't think she could have done that without it.
No, you just do real slow.
Things harder on Violet.
What?
You survived Parapet because your mom cleared up the sky for you.
Well, you don't do it instantaneously.
Her through her entire career.
No, you don't do it instantaneously. You make it look like a natural weather pattern. She controls storms.
They're like, the dragons are like, it's gonna rain, and then it doesn't rain, and they're like,
no. If she controls storms, she should be the first person to sense when it's coming in, and she could just be like, nope, you're gonna wait 2 hours.
Okay, but the amount of magic she probably has to use. You don't think people are going to notice?
No.
What are you talking about?
If she controls storms.
Yes, she wields massive amounts of power through her dragon, which people are going to notice.
She can dissipate it.
Yes, by using massive amounts of power through her dragon. People are going to notice.
Wait, who's going to notice her?
The adults in the room, I would fucking hope.
You can't, like, feel people casting magic.
Yeah, they can.
Who can? She's in the, like, tower.
Yeah. And it would be a massive amount of, like, dragon energy that's being used. The dragons would all know. The dragons would not respect
Violet. Her dragon would know.
I do think the dragons would all know, and Violet would have never bonded anyone. She didn't protect Violet. I completely disagree with you.
Her one character trait. She has a blurb at the beginning of one of the chapters. Her one singular character trait is that she's like, I know I will go down, like, I will die for my children. I know that I will sacrifice for my children. Everything, supposedly, that she does is for her children.
Yes.
The least she can do for Violet is get rid of that storm. Or stop it from forming.
But here's the thing. Doing that dooms Violet at Vesgaeath. Changing the weather for Violet,
people would know,
takes away her. No, you are so wrong here. You're so wrong.
I don't
taking
think so.
away Violet's being mommy on Violet's parapet journey would ruin Violet's first experiences there. Like, no,
If she can
Lilith
stop
is
the storm
absolutely
before
right.
it forms,
not in anything else about this, but she's absolutely right to not touch that storm and to let it play out as it's naturally going to play out. Yes, it makes things more dangerous for Violet, but oh my God, if people found out that Violet's mom made her parapet journey easier, there would be an uproar.
Made everyone's parapet journey easier.
Sure, but
hey, you know what? Maybe this year we give the kids a fighting chance so they can actually take a class.
No, they're never gonna do that.
To learn to be fucking riders.
They're just never gonna do that. Also, over 100 of them made it, so like it's fine.
And like what? 27 people fucking died.
Yeah, but people die all the time at that fucking school. That's normal. Again, that's not out of. That's just what they expect.
I don't know. I the way that I've interpreted this book is that like the dragons might have felt magic, but there's no reason she couldn't stop the storm from coming if she can literally control any storms. Like, I think that she could absolutely get away with that.
I legitimately think that if Lilith fucked with the storm for parapet, the dragons would incinerate the whole class and be like, no. If you fuck with the process, no. I think that the dragons would know and they would not accept that. They would view them as an unacceptable parapet class. And then it would just destroy the whole point. Legitimately, I do think that.
But other people don't have to walk across in the rain. Yes,
you are dealt. It is about the cards you're dealt. And I think that if Lilith were to only fuck with the cards you're dealt because her daughter's there, I think that it would ruin it. And so she knows better. I think Lilith just knows better than to do that. Legitimately.
No, I think she just sucks. Anyways.
Practically Incarnate says the dragons wouldn't respect her and might just fry her on the spot. I think they'd fry the class. I don't think
they would know. I don't think there's any possible way that they could know.
The dragons can sense magic. We know the dragons can sense magic.
And if the storm has already formed and is in full force, then yes, I think that it would take a fuck ton of magic to clear it. That makes sense to me. If you can sense a storm forming, you just like blow it away. Easy.
That's fucking insane.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Changing any weather pattern is going to be a massive amount of magic.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because...
When is that established? When have we ever established how this magic system works, how much power it takes, and who the fuck notices? It is open to interpretation, unfortunately, because it's not well written.
Okay, sure. Live in the world where that makes sense. I won't.
It makes sense to
me.
That
is a world for you and not for me.
Sure.
God. Okay, things I liked about the book. Lilith's death rocked. Her screaming at Sloane, I'm the reason I killed your father. Take my power. When she shoves Violet out of the way and is like, I was like, look, ruthless and like rough. And I feel bad for Sloane. Yeah. Like going through that is awful and she's going to be a mess next book. But God, was it the perfect fucking moment there?
Yeah.
Like, and the tension of it, the heighten of it. Honestly, the whole Venom fight in the sky, I really liked. It was great. I liked the like if a wyvern leaves your radius, let someone else handle it.
Mm-hmm. We have to keep formations, otherwise it's just going to be a messy melee.
The dragons can communicate telepathically.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah.
Let them do it.
Let everybody do their job in this scenario.
That whole fight was great.
Yeah. So the fight ends up at Bezgaeth. What happens is General Malgren's like, I've seen that their Venin are going to attack in Samara, so we're going to move all our forces there. We'd like you to join us. And everybody says, no, fuck you. We hate you, Malgren. And he's like, well, I don't have a plan B, so I guess we're fucked. And then he leaves.
I have no strategy. Also,
it's silly, but we've already talked about it.
There's 500 wyvern. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh, but that estimate is actually low.
From where?
When we get to the actual battle.
How on earth is Malgren so
stupid?
Like intellectual, or what's the right word? Like, how is their intelligence so wrong?
Yeah.
How do they know nothing?
I don't know.
Right? Like, I get it. They're doing propaganda to keep it from the civilians, but they have intelligence officers. Yeah. Like, where is the intelligence? They don't know anything.
Yeah.
They're just operating under the assumption that things are just gonna be fine. Malgren is the dumbest character I've because I thought that he was going to be the big bad. I thought he was the
he's
Palpatine.
not. No,
he's
not. He just
of the
is
series.
silly.
He's so impossibly incompetent.
Yeah. But we have already talked about him.
I know, but just bringing up the 500 Wyvern thing, them being like, there's so many of them. I'm like, how did you not know?
Yeah. It doesn't really make any sense at all. Violet does.
Oh, 1 second. Light Blinded Fool says, sounds like the arches in Ruidian, only about 1 in 3 survive. We won't give you any info on the test. Have fun.
And
yes.
we thought it was stupid then.
Yeah. Yeah, and we didn't like it then. We didn't like that people just died in Ruidian for knowledge that isn't that special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We won't talk about that. No spoilers.
So Violet is able to raise like kind of almost semi-wards in Aratia.
Because she figures out that it's dragons.
They've tried their own blood first, and then apparently that was a mistranslation to it was actually breath.
Yeah.
And so it's actually dragon fire. Of the 6 and the 1, but again, Violet's bad at math, so only 6 of the dragons breathe fire.
Well, she is struggling with physics, so
apparently. So she only has 6 dragons breathe fire, and they kind of have like partial wards, which are good because they're almost attacked by venom, and then 2 of them like fall out of the sky when they hit the wards, and they all turn around, and they fuck off. However, wards not actually 100%. The wyvern kind of start to reanimate.
No, the wyvern die, but the rocks in the wyvern that are dead have no power in them, but the rocks in these wyverns still have power in them. Therefore, these wyvern
can reanimate.
Could, yes. A venom could reanimate them.
They wake up, the eye opens, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And then they kill it. It's fine.
Oh, right, yeah.
But the wards are semi-working, not fully working because Violet's bad at math.
But also, so each dragon can only breathe on a ward stone once
in their life, yeah.
Which very much feels like Resident Evil rules of like.
Oh, I don't know.
There's a lot of mechanics in Resident Evil of like. Keys and things that you need to like progress the game forward.
Oh, sure.
So you kind of have in the original Resident Evil games, you could only save if you had ink ribbons, and so you have to choose when to use your ink ribbons to save the game.
Oh,
you can't just save every time you're at a typewriter. No, it's a fun mechanic because it means that you have to like
that's scary.
Decide if you've made enough progress. It's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah.
I don't like that they've kind of loosened that a little bit.
It's smart, it's cool, but it gives me anxiety.
But so the dragons can only breathe on each thing once. So there's 7 kinds of dragons, and Darna is the only
one of her kind.
They don't tell us what it is, but
no, we don't actually know. I'm assuming it's like a mirror dragon or something.
Can we get into the Undarna thing that just doesn't, that breaks, that like literally breaks this whole book?
Well, we'll get, there's a lot of stuff that we need to power through here at the end, and
let's power through.
I don't want to do a full 3-hour book club. So
yeah, we're at 140.
Yeah,
140.
So the wards don't work. And they decide they're not going to go help with Samara, and then Violet realizes that they're actually going to attack Besgaeth based on the information they have about they're going to bring down the wards, and everyone's going to be fucked. So they head to Besgaeth to try and defend it.
Yeah.
They get there. They go into the chamber with the ward stone. And Jack motherfucking Barlow is there.
Jack motherfucking Barlow.
He's controlling his dragon somehow. Like her eyes are kind of like whited over.
Glossed over.
Yeah. And Jack Barlow literally murders his own dragon and spills its blood all over the stone to extinguish the wards.
Great scene.
Great scene.
Honestly, as much as I thought the bringing Jack Barlow back was a little lame, the way he's used at the end of the book rocks.
Yes.
And I'm actually kind of glad he's alive. I think it is interesting to have him for book 3. Like, I'm glad, just because they killed every other villain.
Yeah.
Like, every other enemy is dead, right? The sage Zane kills the sage. A lot of any of the venom we recognize are dead now. And Varish is dead.
Yeah.
So, like, there aren't actually any villains alive except for Jack. So I'm glad there's someone recognizable to go into the next book.
Yeah.
To be sort of a, like, Hannibal Lecter-esque character.
Yeah, for
Obviously
sure.
not nearly as competent, but...
Yeah.
I thought the scene with Jack was great. I thought
the
bringing down the wards and the bringing back up the wards, the Jack scene and then the Lilith scene at the end of the book were fantastic.
100%.
Like, and the audiobook narrator, I thought really played the action of those scenes really well.
Yes,
I was enthralled.
Yes. Her strength was definitely in the action sequences.
Yeah.
So the wards go down, which is obviously very bad. They find out that they have about... what is it, like 10 hours before the venom arrive.
Which... Yes.
I don't know how that's possible when it's an 18-hour... No.
No, it's not 18 hours from every... No, remember...
No, it's an 18-hour from Aratia.
They've come up that one river which is the closest point where the wards end before Bezgaev.
Yeah.
That they bring that up throughout the book, that they're like coming up to like that one river for a reason.
Yeah, so they're gonna be there. They have time to kind of plan defenses and maybe get a couple hours sleep, and that's kind of it.
But apparently, no one is watching anywhere near that river, and no one sees the 1,000 wyverns crossing up that path for the last week.
Ever. Yeah. I know. The rest of Aratia does show up because Brennan does stay behind. He's like, no, you're wrong. And then he's like, just kidding. He brings all the Griffin Riders.
The council is against going to the fight at Bezgaev.
Yeah. And
so Brennan doesn't come at first.
Yeah. And then he shows up literally 10 minutes later.
He's like, you know what? I thought about it for 1 second. I was wrong.
Yeah. So everybody shows up. All the Griffin Riders are there. Everyone's accumulated at this one place. And
some of the strategy stuff in here, and look, Yaros' husband flew helicopters in the army.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. I apparently helped with some of this stuff, and I thought it was great. Like I liked the details about the lures that Jack Barlow had left to lead the event in here, and how the Griffins were like, oh, we can handle that. Yeah. Like, we're better at that, the runes and stuff.
Yeah, the flying combat, the different strengths of the Griffin Riders versus the Dragon Riders.
And how, like, really, once you get up in there and it's Dragon v Wyvern, the Griffins aren't great, right? Because the Griffins aren't fireproof. Well, they're not fireproof. And so when you have two fire-breathing entities breathing fire at each other constantly, the Griffins are kind of a liability because they never train on how to do Dragon plus Griffin combat.
Yes, this is going to have to be something that they like work towards, and they haven't had the time to do so yet. 100%. So the Griffins are helping more on ground level, like getting injured people to safety and that kind of thing.
Alex says, that's always my main problem. Leadership always knows and does nothing. Agreed. Yeah. But also, Skipcat says, oh, those are pants. They look so comfy.
Oh,
sorry. Thanks. I didn't want to cut you off, but...
No, you're good. They are pants. I got these in Japan, actually. I love them.
But yeah, so the Griffin Riders are doing part of their job. The combat here is great. Honestly, like, the tough thing about this book is, like, I didn't love the first half, but a lot of the stuff with the Griffins was great.
Great action stuff.
Marin is a great character.
Yeah.
I love... The thing that made Kat tolerable to me, honestly, was that Marin was her best friend who legitimately had a problem with the way she was behaving.
Yeah.
And, like, Marin... Like, if Kat hadn't had that grounding force, I would have just been against it more.
Oh, yeah.
But
like, ugh.
Marin rolling her eyes at Kat's behavior was legitimately interesting in a way. Where she's like, she's my best friend. She's a lot. I am sorry.
Yeah.
Like, her constantly...
I'm sorry for her.
And her having a good relationship with Violet almost right away was, throughout the second half, legitimately good shit to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that present because... It's mostly like, oh, when is Aiden coming home? But like...
Yeah, it's mostly them fucking and fighting.
Marin gave Kat more depth just by being an interesting character and saying that she cared about Kat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this fight slaps. Jacinia realizes the mistranslation... What she thinks is a mistranslation... Because she's like, oh, in this person's journal it says 7 instead of 6 and 1.
Well, she's like, if you look, 6 and 7 look very similar in the language. This line is just like a little bit lower. And I was like, oh,
so
God.
Maybe it's a mistranslation, but it's not. No, it's not. It's 6 and 1 and 7. She's like, the other journal that we have, Warwick's journal, has to be wrong. It's not. It's just that it says 6 and 1, and Violet, again, can't do math. So they realize that it has to be 7 dragons who breathe fire. And at this moment, Violet realizes that the weird color shifts she's been seeing in Andarna's scales must mean that she is a different kind of dragon.
Yeah. So can we talk about how Andarna sort of breaks the book at this point now?
Yeah. What happened? They fixed the wards.
So they fix the wards.
They have to shovel all the power to power it up, which her mom sacrifices herself for, and then the dragons come, they power up the wards, and all the wyverns drop dead, and it's great. But yeah, Andarna's like, I've been asleep for 650 years, and I just hatched when I knew that you turned 18. You would have the mind of a scribe, but the heart of a rider.
I look, we all know how I feel about prophecy shit. We all know I am a historic non-prophecy shit kind of guy. This bothered me.
Oh, I can't imagine why.
For a number of reasons. The first is, Andarna knows that she is a 7th breed of dragon whose purpose.
Yes.
So from the egg, Andarna was aware of the fact that she's the seventh breed of dragon whose purpose was to be there to refire the wards.
Yes, it does seem to be
She
that
knows that is the case.
Yes. And she
but
has
she
been
never tells anybody.
She never tells anybody this. Even though they share minds and thoughts. Like, Andarna can basically read Violet's mind. Like, they are connected. And Violet has spent months with these journals. Literal months. And Andarna does not think to bring it up herself. She literally tells Violet, if you couldn't figure it out yourself, you weren't worthy of knowing. So Andarna was about to let everybody fucking die if Violet did not figure this out. Because she's petty, I guess.
But also...
It's so...
Look, the one commendable thing... the most commendable thing about Fourth Wing, the first book, is that Violet gets 2 dragons because she saves a baby. And she puts herself in lethal danger to save a baby. And Taryn recognizes that and rewards it. And Andarna bonds her because of it, right?
Yeah.
The end of this book, this moment with Andarna, undoes the value of that.
Yeah.
Because
it says, we were meant to be together.
Yes, that even before Violet knew she was going to be forced into the Riders Quadrant, Andarna already knew that this was going to happen.
She knew it 650 years ago.
Well, no, she knew what her purpose was. She knew that Violet was going to be here when Violet turned 18.
Yeah.
And so in the final moments of this book, you have undone...
one of the most interesting things about book 1.
What makes Violet cool as a protagonist, because she earned it by hard work.
Yeah.
And you've made it just that this was destiny.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you have kind of crippled your main character's appeal. Because...
I mean, I already hated her, so...
I know. But at the very least, you couldn't say that Violet was undeserving... of what she's earned, right? Because she legitimately, through poisoning her enemies to survive fights, through all of these things, and through getting 2 dragons because of the moment where she decides to die, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That becoming something that was destined to happen, because Andarna knew it was going to happen 2 years before it did, is, in my opinion, destructive to the quality of this series.
Yep.
It ruins it a little bit.
Yeah.
It is rust that you can never recover.
Yeah.
On the hull of your car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is just really unfortunate that this decision was made. It was very unnecessary. It does not improve the moment at all.
No.
It only leads to questions about what the fuck was Andarna thinking, not telling people because they were going to die.
Andarna should not have known.
Andarna is now a problem. Because you can't trust her. But this gets into the thing of, like, they can't trust their dragons. Because their dragons are lying to them always.
Oh, yeah. We do find out earlier in the book that all of the dragons know about the venin and just, don't tell their riders.
But they're just not sure if they want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean you might not want to be a part of it?
Danger.
There's no world. Yeah, it's so... It's just dumb. And like, it sucks. Because, like, at some point, I'm going to write a book. And I'm going to put it out in the world, and someone's going to be like, you thought Fourth Wing and Iron Flame were dumb, but you wrote this crap. And they're going to be right. Like, Rebecca Yarros is still probably a better writer than I'll ever be. You know what I mean? But, like, the plot holes in this series are so unfortunately large that it is really...
They're craters.
And I think they're not as present in Fourth Wing because you don't know where the mystery's going.
Yeah.
Right? Because the mystery is still present, you don't know... You can fill in the holes yourself. But God, in this book, it is just apparent that Rebecca Yarros has just no fucking clue how to write this.
Yeah.
And it's scrambling to try and make sense constantly, and it just never quite gets there.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of just undercuts itself on a lot of levels, which is unfortunate.
Gongi Bongi says the translation part reminded me of learning French. What you mean 83 is 423s. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I don't know.
80 in French is 80, which means 420s. So, like, if you want to say, like...
Oh, I see. Yeah.
If you want to say 86, you say 420s plus 6.
Gotcha. Okay.
86.
That seems complicated.
And if you want to say 96, it's 96. So it's 420s 16.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Darna
Skepcat
is
says
a
the
problem.
secrets dragons keeps are a lot, though they just don't make sense.
They don't make sense, and again, it makes the dragons feel like plot devices as opposed to people that are active participants in the narrative.
Well, and the series behaves as if... God, there's so many problems. But the series behaves as if the Venin aren't doing things, and they are.
Yeah.
Or that Melgren is just so unaware.
Yeah, but they're literally going to be there. The best reports say a year, and the worst reports, like Brennan,
and they're not
say
prepping at all.
6 months.
The dragons at Bezgaeth are almost just a liability in this fight because they don't know how to fight Venin at all. Like, even the cadets are more useful because at least the cadets have spent a few months thinking about it.
Yeah.
Whereas the candidates of Bezgaeth have no idea what they're going up against. They have no concept of a plan.
They've never thought about fighting other dragons. They are trained to fight griffins.
Thank you, Gongi Bongi. They said, hey, don't sell yourself short, nerdy. Look, I don't want people to think that I'm out here trying to, like, build myself up by shitting on an author. I am not. I just, like...
I think we are extra frustrated because we do like a lot of the ideas and the combat stuff that was written really well. There are certain choices made that I think are actually really good. Unfortunately, there's others that then undercut it. Like, like I said at the beginning, if this book was kind of just bad or mediocre the whole way through, I would be like, yeah, it's not worth it. I got through it, but whatever. But I feel very, like, strongly about this book because there were things that I thought were worthwhile.
I've also said this in the past, but length to me will indicate my criticisms, right? If this book were shorter, I wouldn't be as harsh on it because it wouldn't have been so much of my time.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be 600 pages...
You have to be good.
And no one feels competent for any of them...
Yeah.
If you're going to ask 28 hours of audiobook of my time, you have to deliver a level of quality, right?
Yeah.
Like, if this was a 300-page book and it was the same story and it would just led to the smut more and it was clearly more about just getting to the smut, I wouldn't be as harsh on the fantasy elements. I didn't decide for it to be 600 pages. Rebecca Yarros did.
Yeah.
There's an expectation when you're going to make the book 600 pages that there's going to be a little bit more depth than she captures here.
Yeah.
And... if it wasn't so long, I would not be as harsh on it. Honestly. Yeah. Cut a couple of things, right? Cut the Solus fight. The Solus fight was really good. It's not really necessary.
Yeah.
It wraps up a plot point, I guess, but that's about it.
Yeah.
There's a few things that you can cut out of here. Have Kat and Violet bond on the Griffin Path so that the ex-girlfriend shit doesn't last as long. There's a number of things that you can trim down in this book.
Oh, yeah.
That don't add a lot of value.
We don't need 5 months of the same fight over and over and over again because I, like, almost was like, I can't finish this.
And there's a version of this where, like, yeah, maybe, like, the propaganda wouldn't be better and maybe the villains' plans wouldn't be better and the military leadership wouldn't be more competent, but the book would be 300 pages. And so I'd be like, well, it's a 300-page book. They can't fit in everything, right?
Yeah.
It's to get to the action. It's fun.
Yeah.
The problem is this book is long enough that there's long sections that are very slow and stupid that ruin the pacing of the good stuff. Like, this is one of those books where, like, if you could just trim out the stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Keep the stuff that does, and you would just have a better book. It would just be better overall, just by shortening it.
Yeah.
And this is where the timeline of the release of these books is, I think, a big problem. The fact that this book came out the same year as Fourth Wing, and that she wrote it as fast as she did.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not shorter because she wrote it as fast as she did.
But it's very clear that it didn't go, I think, through a proper editing process.
It was not nearly edited enough.
Yeah.
Not nearly.
Yeah.
And... you know, I think that we have a friend who's publishing a book, and when they've told us, like, what the timeline, like, their publisher would like to put these books out on, I kind of go, oh, whoa, slow down. So take your time. These are works of art. This isn't meant to be slop.
But they are also taking the difference, I think, with them is that, like, they're taking.
Oh, this isn't a criticism of that.
Years, yeah.
This also isn't. This isn't the plan they ended up on. This was like the pitch that they originally told us of. This is my criticism of major publishing right now.
Yeah.
Is that the publishers were like, okay, we can put out this date, and she's like, okay, no. And my feeling at first was like, also no. just because something's popular doesn't mean that we need to slop it into the trough.
Yeah.
Take your time, write good shit, get it edited. I mean, look, we haven't read Wind in Truth, but the thing that I've read about it the most is that people are like really missing Brandon's former editor. You know what I mean? And it makes me nervous because we're entering into this time where a lot of these books, fuck man, could use an editor. They really could, and this book could have used an editor.
Yeah.
Because it's not incompetent. There's legitimately great things.
Yeah.
Lilith's death was emotionally resonant. It was very well done. Mm-hmm. That chapter was fantastic. It feels a little unearned at the end of the book. It feels like a really well written chapter in a book that doesn't deserve it. But if the book had been edited well, I think it could have earned it. I think I could have wept.
Yeah.
We just didn't quite get there in the rest of it.
I wasn't emotionally invested in that way. Yeah. The very last moment of the book, which we haven't talked about, is that
just quickly, Skipcat says it was probably already half written before Fourth Wing was accepted. Sure, but it didn't need to come out 6 months after.
No, we could have taken a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last moment of the book is Violet walks over to Xaden, and he is a Venin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
which could be interesting, could not be. We don't know what that means. So.
I have no idea. Then we have Xaden's POV where he gets he wakes up from a dream, which was him defeating the sage. Uh-huh. And taking the power and turning into a Venin.
We didn't get to see the scene, and so they wanted just to show the moment happen.
So we had a dream moment.
I appreciated the way she handled it. Cause
I was confused for a second. I was like, what the fuck happened? But I was like, oh, no, it was a dream. He goes and visits Jack Barlow, and he's like, how do I cure this? How do I fix this? And he's like, you don't. You're one of us now. And Xaden's like, okay, what does that mean?
I did appreciate the reason he became Venin was because if he had drawn enough power to kill the sage, he would have killed Scale. Right?
What?
In order to draw enough power to fight the sage off, he was going to have to burn out Scale, and so he didn't want to kill his dragon, and so he became Venin instead. So I do like that choice, right? He could have taken all of Scale's energy and fought the Venin with that instead, but that would have killed Scale. So in order to save Scale's life and the chain of command, right? In order to pull more energy to keep fighting the Venin, he would have had to have burnt out Scale, which would have killed Taryn, which would have killed Violet.
I thought he was fucked. I thought.
Yeah, he was, but he could have. There is always the nuclear option in all of the riders to just use the entire life force of their dragon to doing crazy things.
Okay.
But it kills your dragon.
Right.
So he has the choice of either kill his dragon and Taryn and Violet, or pull from the ground and become Venin.
Yes.
So that choice made sense to me, and I was on board for it.
Yes.
Him becoming Venin at the end of the book is cool because it means massive consequences, except there doesn't appear to be consequences.
Doesn't seem like there are. We are the Venin are evil, capital E evil, pure evil. Okay, but they're not, maybe, because Xaden still seems like Xaden. And I'm just so confused as to what this even means at this point.
Yes,
because there should be either he's evil Venin or he's just Xaden with a red rim around his eyes.
Yes, it is unfortunate that the twist here doesn't. I don't have enough context for it, so it kind of felt a little bit lacking.
Yeah, he's fully just allowed to walk around, go see Jack,
hang
out with Violet. Yeah, no one's worried about him or anything.
We in that POV, we get his POV, and we don't find out in that POV how Sigale feels about him being Venin.
She's just quiet. That's all.
You know what I mean?
He says, "Oh, she's been quiet lately," and I'm like,
"Yeah, because you're Venin now."
Yeah, what?
But it just doesn't seem to have affected him nearly enough.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a more interesting version of it would have been that Jack Barlow says there is no cure. You're one of us now. Mm-hmm. And the book ends with Xaden knew that that should be the worst news he's ever heard in his life.
Yeah.
But deep down in the core of his soul, he knew part of him smiled. Right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That
where he is
language,
an
I'm not saying that's a perfect sentence.
No,
but
but you have to set up some
Yeah.
kind of internal struggle at
Yes.
the end of this book, because otherwise I'm like, okay, well, I have no context for what that means, and I don't think that the author has context for what that means. Otherwise, they would have set it up. It feels like Rebecca Yarros is like, shit, he's Venin, but I don't actually know what that means yet, so I'm not going to include any of that in this book, and I'm going to figure it out in the next book. And that it feels more like a cop out than anything else.
I actually want to read this. Let's get into the end of the book.
I do want to, while you find that.
Yeah, for sure.
Practically Incarnate says, I feel it seems very easy to turn bad, and I'm surprised there aren't more writers turning. I agree 100%. If the writers that you are training do not know about the Venin and do not know that pulling power from the earth is bad because you've gotten rid of all of the folklore that teaches children that is bad, then if you're as a writer training and you sense these undercurrents of power under the earth, why wouldn't you just give it a tug? Like, why would you not try and utilize that resource? Oh, hey, professor, there's some magic under here. I'm gonna like pull from this. Like, why not? Unless your dragon says something and stops you, and then you have to get let in on the secret. People should be turning Venin all the time. It's not like this power is hidden. You can literally feel it under your
accidentally.
feet. Yeah, exactly.
So I guess he kind of. So the line at the end of the book is, "I'd rather die than become one of you. Fear flavors the words because I feel it. The power beneath the college, the craving to sate the need for it."
Which is like, oh, okay, you're like a vampire now, I guess. Right?
It's a craving. I guess that maybe is the same thing as what I said, but it just doesn't...
I don't think that's as interesting. I think that's like I have an addiction to heroin, and I just need the people around me to help me through that. Is fine.
I don't know that it's that. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
If the Venin are just addicted to power...
Yeah.
But Xaden also is one of the most powerful people on the planet. Like, I just don't really... I don't get it.
I don't get it either, and that's what I mean.
I don't get it because he's given free reign to go meet with a prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's... Like, I honestly think that the final chapter should have him waking up for this dream in a cell next to Jack Barlow.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like...
Because we can't trust him now, maybe? I don't know. And that's what
but
is
also,
so confusing.
If Jack Barlow can... Oh, I guess Jack Barlow... he should have woken up not able to feel Segale because they should be dosing him.
Because they gave him the same dose as Jack Barlow.
Yeah.
But they're not.
The fact that they're just not... And maybe Violet and Xaden don't tell anyone else.
Which feels insane.
Yeah.
What?
But honestly, that might be what's revealed at the beginning of Onyx Storm, is that they just haven't told anyone. And that Gale, Taryn, and Darna and Violet are the only people who know.
We're just going to deal with it? That seems like a terrible idea, but I don't know.
But Skepcat says, it's like a little pregnant. He's only a little Venin. Yeah.
I guess.
Sir Jeremy says, another book that you guys might really like is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. It's an African-inspired action-heavy short book that you could do a single book club on. Interesting. I love that.
I'm
I'll
down
check out Evan Winter.
Down for more single book clubs. You know,
Here's the problem. I get that, like, we've been complaining and people are going to be like, you're just mean to the book. I love talking about this with you because it helps me deal with my emotions. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I get to fucking rant about how I hate Violet. I hate their stupid fight. And I think that she's the most entitled person.
Yeah.
But
the book justifies her entitlement because she is the only person that can solve any of their problems. Like, everyone else is functionally useless without her.
She's a very special girl, but she can't add 6 in 1.
Skipcat says, also, I think this was about when we were talking about publishing demands on titles coming out. That's a new trend in publishing. It's primarily from independent authors, self-publishing, that make money by putting out a new book like every 2 months.
Yeah, which is insane to me, but yeah, we do seem to be going for fucking quantity over quality in some aspects.
It's why people are using AI in their books, right? It's legitimately because, like, you can't write.
I got a deadline in 2 weeks.
Maybe like Brandon Sanderson can write a book that often, but even that. Here's the thing. I like Brandon Sanderson's books, right? I think that Oathbringer is one of the best fantasy novels I've ever read. Mm-hmm. I think that Mistborn is one of the best trilogies ever. If it weren't for Well of Ascension kind of being a little bit of a dip with the Zane stuff, I think it would be a perfect trilogy, right? I'm a Brandon Sanderson fan, and I also don't like 2 of the Era 2 books. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that everything he's written is perfect. I don't like Way of Kings nearly as much as other people do.
Yeah, I mean, I like those. I mean, I like those books far better than these books.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like, even Brandon Sanderson, who
It
I
doesn't
think
write a perfect book every time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if he slowed down a little bit, I think that some of those books would be a little bit stronger. But Brandon Sanderson is going for volume, and that's great. And you know what? I'm not going to complain because I'm getting books that I do enjoy, right?
Sure, yeah.
Even the stuff that I don't love as much, even Elantris, which I think is like kind of a mess. It's enjoyable. I would read it again. Like it's certainly not a train wreck in the way that I think parts of this book are.
Yeah.
The plot holes in that are no, you know what? The plot holes in that are equivalent to the plot holes in this. The villain's final fight plan for that book are truly nonsensical.
Yes, I agree.
We're showing up a month early to fuck with one guy.
We had
is so stupid.
We had like 4 plot holes, whereas in this book, like I'm pretty sure there's like 17.
Sure, but that book's shorter than this too.
Fair.
Yeah. But
I took a screenshot of Rage of Dragons so that you can take a look at that book.
Oh, yeah. Esmeralda says yes to Rage of Dragons. Gongi Bongi says, if the book were just bad, then you wouldn't discuss it. It's the fact that there's enough promise and cool shit that gets squandered is what drives fashion. Well, I think that's what, I wish we'd start off more positive so that people who like the book would have sat through this more. So I think people just turn this off. But the thing that's tough about this is that I really like scenes that I wish were in a better book.
Yeah.
I like the climbing the cliffs with the griffins, a lot of the Marin stuff, Rhiannon in this book. We never talked about this. Liam coming back while she's being tortured is delicious to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was very well done.
It was one of the few moments where the tertiary characters to me felt really alive, which is funny because he's dead. I really
because Liam was one of the best parts of the first book.
Yeah. And I thought that the way she wrote Liam's presence in the interrogation or in the torture scene that leads to the eyes moment in the Solus fight was genuinely a great way to handle that scene, to give Violet someone to talk to have that presence in the room.
Yeah.
I genuinely loved it. I just was the whole time wishing that Varish was a villain worthy of that moment. Yeah. But he's so simple. Yeah. It's just, he's so mustache twirling that it's hard for me to like care as much about his part of the book because he's not worth it. Yeah. He is not clever enough to be worth the amount of screen time he's given. Yeah. And all they needed to do was not make him so obvious. Yeah. Right? It's not a hard fix. Pull back. Yeah. And maybe that is hard. Maybe being a little bit more reserved is actually difficult, and it is just easier to like put on the page, big bad guy. But God, if Varish had been less evil and it felt like Dane at any point would agree with him, Dane turning on Varish was no surprise because Varish is so fucking evil that there's no reason for me to buy into Dane turning on him. Yeah. There just isn't. Whereas if Varish had been a little bit less Dolores Umbridge, you know what I mean? And a little bit more like Snape before you kind of find out that Snape's, you know, but like, sorry to use Harry Potter references. It's something I think everyone will understand, but yeah. If Varish had just come across a little bit more competent, a little bit more clever, and a little bit more insidious, then the moment when Dane realizes it and does turn on him would have been so heroic because I would have bought into a world where Dane would have agreed with Varish. But the problem is Varish is so obviously evil the whole time.
He's literally Voldemort.
That he's not even that clever. He's not. He's not Voldemort. Voldemort is good at it.
Obvious evil. Like you can see it on his fucking face.
But Voldemort is charismatic.
Not anymore.
Yeah, he is. Voldemort. Here's the thing. The one thing I will give J.K. Rowling props for is that Voldemort is a like really charismatic villain. Partially because I think that she's really good at writing villains because she is one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I honestly think that if you go back and read Harry Potter now, which I'm not going to do. Granted, I haven't like read a Harry Potter book since the last movie came out, right? It was never like my be all end all franchise. I was always Star Wars. But if you go back and read it, I think you see a lot of her in Voldemort.
And Umbridge. Yeah.
Like, I think that she wrote those characters better than she wrote the heroes because they're just closer to who she is as a person. Yeah. But I kind of said that to be a joke, but I think I mean it.
I think it's kind of true.
Yeah. Well, like the blood purity stuff, if you really go into like which worldview in those books she agrees with, she is far closer to the Voldemort blood purity shit than she is to the Hermione like slavery's bad shit. Yeah. Which is probably why she wrote characters to mock Hermione for having a problem with slavery. Like
Well,
when
and it's probably why they cast a girl of color to play her in the show now, because she's going to be the, like, guys, slavery's bad. And everyone's going to shit on this little girl of color for being like, slavery's bad.
we should make a video about the show.
Yeah.
We should. We
our
were
new
like, we won't
podcast.
talk about it. That should be how we kick
That
off Okay But Why, though.
That's a good idea.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, back to Fourth Wing. I do think that there's stuff in this book that is so good that I legitimately was on the edge of my seat, like, fuck, man, this is a great scene. And it's just in a book that isn't. And
Yeah.
that is what's so frustrating about it.
Yeah.
Because Iron Flame, while it wasn't the greatest book ever, got better as it went on. Legitimately got better as it went on.
Agreed.
And the second half of that book, post-Threshing, I think Fourth Wing is a much better book. Has really interesting characters. I liked the marked ones a lot. I thought Liam's death was really well handled, really well written. And I was excited for... I think the second Aragon book,
Eldest.
Eldest. I was about to say it's Murtagh, but it's not. Eldest is such a leap forward from Aragon, right?
For sure, yeah.
And so I was really hoping that Iron Flame was going to do for this series what Eldest did for the Aragon series, legitimately.
Right. But these two were written at the same time, whereas Christopher Paolini had chance to grow and mature as a writer.
Yeah.
And Rebecca Yarros did not.
Where this kind of feels like Fourth Wing without the intrigue of the mystery, because we know what the mystery is.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, book one was the same. We didn't love it pre-Threshing. Like, it was kind of like fine. It was very fine.
But it was a book that got better as it went on.
Yes.
Whereas this, by being the second book, doesn't start at the level of the end of the first book.
No, we went...
It crashes at the beginning.
Yeah, like, so bad. Like, worse than the beginning of Fourth Wing.
Because the reveal is that... The reveal at the beginning of this book that the military just lets them back into Asgaeth. They have no plan for the mystery. The propaganda is just bad propaganda.
Yeah.
That reveal at the beginning of this book, I don't think the book ever truly recovers from it.
Yeah.
There's great scenes, there's great moments, there's great character stuff. There's a lot of wonderful things that happen in this book, but it never recovers from the fact that the Empire doesn't follow up on the propaganda reveal from the end of last book.
Oh, sure.
Well.
Yeah.
This book should have started with them coming back to the college, and the propaganda has been turned up to 11. Dolores Umbridge is at the school, and there are
Varish,
rules showing up constant. But Varish doesn't... Varish...
No, I know.
He tries to be Umbridge and fails because he's
so,
not nearly as insidious as she is.
Exactly, he's so bad at it. Kano, thank you so much for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Overall, I like the second half of this book overall, even though glaring plot holes. Curious to see if there's any improvement in Onyx Storm, although expectations low.
I agree with that. Like, I'm curious to see what happens in Onyx Storm because she had a year and a half between this and Onyx Storm.
Yes.
I'm hopeful that the time off. And she's taking 2 years between Onyx Storm and the next book is 2027. So she is slowing down these books coming out, which I'm hopeful will lead to better quality in them.
Yes.
I just don't know if
Unfortunately, a lot of people have said that, like, they did not like Onyx Storm at all. So I am a little worried, but thank you for your super chat.
Yeah, thank you, Kano.
I think that, again, there's enough good in this story that I'm like, yeah, damn, like, I think we could really...
I really like Sora and Jacinia stuff.
Oh, sorry?
Jacinia, my favorite romantic relationship in this book is Sawyer being like, guys, how do you sign?
Can you teach me to sign?
And then Riddick being like trying to teach him poorly, and Violet's like, God, no, I'll teach you properly so you can hit on my friend.
Yeah.
And then Jacinia's when she finds out that Sawyer's hurt at the end, and she's so concerned, I'm like, fuck, why didn't we spend more time with this? This relationship is so much cuter and more interesting to me than Zayden and Violet.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah.
I got very invested in Sawyer and Jacinia, you guys. I love Jacinia.
I don't blame you. She's great. Yeah. Thank you for being here for book club. I think this was like us getting shit off our chests.
I will be back in a month with our Onyx Storm.
Okay.
4 Wednesdays from today.
Really? Why?
I like completing things.
Oh, it's not actually because you want...
No, I do. I want to. I'm a glutton for punishment, and if Fourth Wing community hates me, that's fine. I legitimately want to keep talking about it. And so I will be here okay, so let's talk about this. Next week, part 1 of Will of the Many, I will be by myself covering a book that is... I haven't finished the whole book. I've only read part of part 1. I'm finished part 1. so good, you guys. I can't wait to talk about this book. It is such a well-written criticism of capitalism through fantasy lens in a way that, like, guys, it is truly banging. Clarence is missing out.
I'm gonna read it at some point.
This is my favorite book I've read this year.
Just didn't know we were adding more book clubs, so I haven't.
Well, I just started reading it, and I was like, I want to do book club on it because I love it. I think Will of the Many is very cool. So join me next Wednesday for Will of the Many book club. We will it's probably going to be very political and just talking about how capitalism's bad.
Why don't you just give yourself 2 weeks so that we have like Wednesday book club this week, and then we have off, and then we have Wednesday book club the following week, and then we have off, and then there's Wednesday book club.
Because I don't want to take time to read, because I want to finish the book. Because then I have, okay, so if I do that, then I have to take 6 weeks to read this book, and I would like to read it.
Oh, you're splitting it in parts. I forgot about that.
So Will of the Many is, I'm going to do part 1, part 2, part 3 book clubs. They'll probably be shorter because it's just going to be me talking about it for, probably 90 minutes by myself.
All right.
But it's also me, so it might also still be 3 hours.
We're going to have to figure out this set for...
Well, I'll just move a chair centered and then move the camera.
All right.
So Will of the Many next week, part 1. Following week, Will of the Many, part 2. Then the following week, we'll finish Will of the Many, part 3, and the end of the book, the epilogue. And then the week after that, Onyx Storm. So 1 month from today.
Damn. You're doing a lot of book clubs.
I want to grow this channel. I love books. I want to read more this year. I said I was going to read 50 books this year, and I've read 8. So the back half in December, I said I was going to read 50 books next year, and I have not.
I saw that coming.
I have 42 books left to read this year, and I am going to make that happen. Some of them are going to be very short audiobooks. But for the next month, Will of the Many book clubs on Wednesdays, Rhythm of War on Fridays, and then a month from today, Onyx Storm. Whether Clarence is with me for Onyx Storm or not, probably not. But there's a chance. Yeah. I just don't. Do you actually want to read it, or do you just have like FOMO to not be here for book club? Because if it's FOMO to not be here for book club, babe, don't spend I think it's longer than this one. I think it's 30-hour audiobook.
Oh my god. I don't know. I know a big part of it is FOMO.
Then don't do it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like, there's a reason why you didn't do One Piece with me, and I think that it's okay if this is the same thing. I guess. Actually, it's only 544 pages, so I think it's a little bit shorter than Iron Flame.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where, like, I don't know. I like doing book club with you.
But you need to do 2 a week.
I don't know. Stormlight books should count as 2. Yeah, they really should, honestly. I don't know. We'll see.
It's 80 pages shorter than this book.
I will decide.
Okay.
Maybe I will start it, and if I can't stand it, maybe I will stop.
And then you'll come in for the beginning of book club up until you DNF'd it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and then I'll finish it by myself.
Yeah,
that works for me.
We'll see.
All right, chat. If you like the video, okay, wait. There's some Gongi Bongi nerdy getting political. Sign me up. Be here next week.
Yeah, some love for Will of the Many.
Alex says, I'm reading Will of the Many. It's pretty dense, but great so far. It is dense, but I am not a coward.
I'm also excited to get back to
I'm kidding.
Kushiels as well.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
We're going to start Kushiels after Onyx Storm.
I might, literally just reread Kushiels Darden.
Do that.
Yeah.
James Islington's Lacanius trilogy is good, too. I can't wait. I like his writing so far. I don't usually like first-person writing, but I like his, so... I'm down for that.
Yeah, it still drives me nuts that apparently this book is translated from a journal.
I know. Anyway, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave mean comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is Sloane Mari.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Lilith Sorengale is a good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
Do something nerdy tonight. Where would you add smut to this book?
They already fuck at every opportunity.
I'm a little disappointed we haven't gotten a scale Terran fuck scene. With the way that she describes things, I want her to, vividly, in full detail, describe dragon fucking.
I mean, yeah, we kind of got, flashes of it when, Violet, kind of lost control, in book 1, when that was a thing. But, yeah, I would be more interested in that. I think that the sex in this book is written, pretty well.
I thought the shower scene was hot.
Yeah, shower scene was hot. I also thought the idea of, her being on his throne was oh, I can see why, the girlies are really into that.
Yeah.
There's definitely some, hot smut in the book for the most part. I just, because I hated Violet as a character,
Yeah.
I really, like, I just was like, yeah, okay,
Well,
whatever.
and the problem with the throne sex is that it comes because she's being insecure, and so
I know.
it's not a great scene because he's trying to prove to her that he loves her. Yeah.
Yeah,
The throne,
kind of weird.
The throne would have felt better if it was a more like enthusiastic throne fucking.
Yeah.
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 That's what I want for Onyx Storm, an enthusiastic throne fucking.
Oh, we did not even talk about Xaden having a second signet.
Did we not bring that up?
You were like,
I thought we brought that up way early in the podcast.
You were like, he's a half intrinsic, and then that's all that we said about it. But yeah, it's
next time on Onyx Storm, we'll talk about that.
It's fine.
Major plot point.
I don't. It's fine.
Should we add it right now?
No.
He's a half intrinsic. He can read intentions.
Yes.
And that just means that he's been lying to Violet their whole relationship. But like not in that bad a way. So it's just it's like a reason for Violet to be kind of upset with him, but it's not bad enough that it's actually a problem. So it's just not a thing. The reason why it didn't really come up is like, yeah, he can read intentions,
but it doesn't
what the
end
fuck
up
does
mattering.
that mean?
Exactly. It ends up not mattering.
It's not relevant to his fight with the Sage. It's only something for him to and Violet to fight about.
Exactly, which
That's
I'm
it.
over. Yeah.
It doesn't come into play in.
Yeah. Anyways, give us the actual dragon smut, okay? Yeah. That's what I want for Smut Corner. Is I wish that we just had some dragon orgies or some shit, you know?
Gongi Bongi, I cannot wait to read your novel with enthusiastic throne fucking as the sales pitch.
Love that. Honestly, I dig it.
All right, everyone, that's it. Thank you to our mods. Thank you to everyone for being here. We'll be back on Friday with chapters 20 to 32 of Rhythm of War. Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.
Bye.